It's time to get up and get your day started. It's Sports 56 mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Now, here are your hosts, Greg and Eli.
What a game last night. My Lord. First overtime game of the season for the Grizzlies. It was a doozy, and they get a big-time dub over the Suns in overtime, 151-148, the highest-scoring game in the NBA this season. We will talk about that and many other topics in the world of sports as we welcome you in to Sports 56 Mornings on this Wednesday, February 26th, 2025. Happy Hump Day to you, Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Elijah Seegers. We're gathered once again in the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, it's where family and fun come together. Preseason pool and patio sale going on right now. 2024 pricing on all above pools and patio furniture. Take advantage of the pricing right now and beat the rush. Get in line for your pool installation. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. And with weather like yesterday and the weather that we're going to get today, it's just about pool weather season, although I'm sure there'll be some cold days still ahead. Currently, it's 52, but it's going to rise to 76 today. Even warmer than yesterday. Sunshine, a little bit of clouds mixed. And then for your Thursday, not as warm, but 68 degrees and sunshine. You can't beat that weather. 73 on Friday. Once again, a sunny day. Take advantage of some outdoor activities, which you weren't able to do for quite some time. As I mentioned, Grizzlies Suns topic uno, but plenty of college basketball. The Tigers back in action tonight at home against the Rice Owls. Ole Miss will visit number 1 ranked Auburn. We got SEC action from last night that we will dive into on the program. At 8:05, Tim Cramsey will join us, the University of Memphis Tigers offensive coordinator. We'll talk to him about Seth Hennigan, about Rock Taylor, who get ready for the Combine this week and this weekend in Indianapolis, and about 2025 and this Tigers football team, as they'll have a lot of new players on offense, really a lot of new players overall on the team. Jerry Palm will join us at 8:25, his latest bracketology. We will not have DeMichael Cole today. He's moved to tomorrow, so DeMichael will join us tomorrow. That means that 9:05 segment is open. We'll take your calls and texts. Of course, we'll always look for your texts throughout the show. And then when we have open segments, we welcome your phone calls at 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines. And then at 9:25, Parth Upadhyay from the Daily Memphian on the Tigers as they get ready for this final push. And it's a busy schedule with a game tonight, Sunday at UAB, next Tuesday at UTSA, before wrapping up the regular season a week from Friday at home against South Florida. So a busy schedule indeed. That's the lineup for today. Kick back, relax, and enjoy. Mr. Savoy, how are you?
I'm okay.
All right, what's up?
I'm just a little perturbed with some stuff, but it's all right.
Does it have anything to do with driving and traffic and vehicles?
No. There's nothing to do with driving.
You just going to tease us?
I'm tired of little punks, but that's just had a person again last night. Second time about a month. Had a person come into our driveway and got it. They don't get into my car because I lock it. My wife doesn't lock her car, so they get in her car and steals. They don't get anything. So there's really nothing in there to steal. But it just drives me crazy watching these, because I have a camera, so I sit there and I could see them afterwards.
Oh, no.
And it just drives me crazy. I'm tired. I just hate little punks who come around stealing stuff, just walking around the neighborhood. They just walk around so nonchalantly. That's what drives me crazy. Like, they just don't even care. Like, they look right at my camera. See, I got a camera. Don't care. Just nonchalant. Walk up, check the car doors, get in there, look around with their flashlight, move on to the next car, go to the neighbors, to their cars, and stuff drives me absolutely insane.
Well, one time they're going to walk into the wrong driveway.
I hope so.
And you know what's going to happen.
I would love one time to be able to catch them like while it happened, but they do it at like 3 a.m. Obviously, I'm not going to be awake at that time, and so it just makes me. I just get angry about it. Even again, nothing lost, but I just hate the idea of that. How again, really, it's how nonchalantly like they just don't care whatsoever, just strolling around the neighborhood, going through other people's stuff.
Well, you know me, I could fly off the handle at the drop of a hat. So if that was going on at my home, I can't tell you what, first of all, how pissed I'd be, but what I'd probably try to do for the next time. It would bother me. It would keep me up at night. Not that I'm afraid of that person, that what I might do to that person if I catch that person. Now, who knows? Who knows the situation? Who knows if there's others around that are lookouts? And you never know. It's just, it's horrible. I don't know why that bothers me more than anything. And there are a lot more serious. I mean, that's serious enough, but there's a lot more serious crimes. But that one bothers me more than anything. It's your property, and people think they're entitled to take it. Take your car. Those squatters that squat, go into a home. Like, oh, no, it's mine. No, it's not. Shut the hell up. It's not yours. It's not yours. Anyway, I'm sorry to hear you're, not feeling 100% like you normally are, but we'll get you back to normal, Eli.
No, I'm fine. I'm just perturbed. Perturbed.
I get it. I get it. Elijah, how are you?
I'm good, Greg. Still kind of trying to catch my breath after that game last night. Holy cow.
That was incredible. And let me tell you something. Pete and Brevin and Fish, they do such a great job. It was so exciting to listen to their excitement in their voices. And then after the game, Fish interviewing John Morant. And I was ready, as I put my show together, to start stacking up stuff to kind of jump all over Ja. Because it was really, you're talking about being perturbed. Watching him settle for three-point shots. He's not a good three-point shooter. He's got to get it through his head. He'll go through a streak every once in a while, but he's 31%. Leave it to the three-point shooters. But he's jacking up threes, and he keeps missing. And even in overtime, when he was fabulous, and fabulous in the fourth quarter, there were still a couple of ill-advised threes that led to empty possessions and kept Phoenix in the game. But if it weren't for the other things that he did, which was drive to the bucket, finish, facilitate, make great passes. The pass to Jalen Wells was unbelievable. Wells, by the way, the rookie, maybe we stopped calling him a rookie, stepped up big time. So Ja, in the end, did what Ja needs to do. Take over a game. That goes back to the Kendrick Perkins comments from the other day. The Grizzlies can't rely on Jaren Jackson Jr. being their best player to make a long run in the NBA playoffs. That's not a knock on Tripp. What it is telling you that best player has to be Ja Morant, and it does. And Ja, again, minus the stupid three-point shots, he was fabulous. And the Grizzlies, who probably never should have had a battle with Phoenix because Phoenix is not good, they had a battle the whole entire game. It went back and forth. There were 22 ties. There were 22 lead changes. But in the end, guys like Brandon Clark with the tip-in, Wells the way he played, and Ja Morant leading the way helped the Grizzlies improve to 38-20 because that would have been a bad loss, especially at home. 151-148 Grizz in the high-scoring game of the season in the NBA.
Yeah, I said yesterday, Phoenix doesn't defend. They can score, but they don't defend. And we saw that last night. And, I mean, they were incredible on the offensive end. Now, there was some bad defense being played by the Grizzlies as well. There were a lot of wide-open looks, especially for Grayson Allen getting wide-open looks in the corner constantly. But, yeah, I mean, Ja, what a – I mean, he was awful through three quarters. He was awful. the first quarter, he could. I don't know what he was even doing. He'd go to the basket, they'd block his shot, he'd complain to the referees, and they would rinse and repeat, same thing over again on the next possession. It was just bad. Like, he was just bad. I mean, I'm still the 3-pointer he made there at the end of regulation. I'm stunned that he made that shot. I mean, when you consider all of the ones that he missed, which were good looks and feet set, everything else, and then the one he makes is fading to the left. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. But, as Brevin talked about, like, those types of players, they could be terrible all night, and then in crunch time, you still have to trust them, and oftentimes they're going to come through, and he came through. I thought there were about 3 different times I was like, this is over. Like, they're done. There's no way they're winning this game. And
Suns blew it.
And then they just kept finding a way. The score, it got to 2 possessions, and then it would immediately be erased, and suddenly the Grizzlies would have the lead. Like, I'm still not even sure how the Grizzlies won that game.
Exactly.
But certainly one you couldn't let get away. And they found a way. That in the end, that's the key. The second quarter, Jaren in that first quarter, like, it was obvious once again, which has been proven every time they've played Phoenix. They don't have anybody who can stop Jaren Jackson Jr. He literally just give the ball to him. They did start running double teams at him. Okay, but then he could pass out of that, whatever. In the first quarter, he scores the 10 points. And the second quarter, he gets 2 shot attempts. Like, they just start firing away threes in that second quarter like it was going out of style. Like, I don't know, like, did anybody watch the first quarter of what Jaren Jackson Jr. did? Can we at least let him touch the basketball on an offensive possession? I don't know what the hell's going on, why suddenly we went from, hey, let's give it to Jaren, he'll score on him every time, to let's start firing threes like it's going out of style.
You're exactly right. I mean, nobody could stop Jaren except Jaren. And he ended up fouling out of the game. And that could have been extremely costly. He goes for 28 points before fouling out. Now, matching him was Devin Booker, who went for 28 points, 10 assists, and he fouled out of the game. So, all right, let's call it even Steven. 2 All-Stars that fouled out of the game. But down the stretch, and again, Ja made some amazing plays in that fourth quarter and overtime, so let's give him credit. I got a quote here about his shooting from Ja, which is interesting. But how Phoenix lost that game is beyond me. Like you said, I'm putting my notes together for today's show. And 2 or 3 different times I had the Suns winning the game and scratching it out every time. You had opportunities at the free throw line. Bol Bol was really good. Goes to the free throw line, clanks the first one, makes the second, keeps it a 1-possession game at that point. Grayson Allen goes to the free throw line, clanks the first one, makes the second one. And in the meantime, Ja's hitting an off-balance 3. You have Brandon Clark with the tip-in, came out of nowhere. This is after a sequence in the last minute of regulation. Ja goes inside, and again, that's what I want to see from Ja. He goes inside, but Bol blocks his shot. Then Memphis gets it back. Clark misses a floater. Got a good shot off, but misses a floater. Then Clark fouls Bradley Beal. Then Clark misses another shot. This is all within the last minute. I got this all written down, the play-by-play, and I'm like, how the hell did they come back and win? But they did. They forced the overtime. In the overtime, Ja's throwing dimes, and Phoenix ran out of time. You had the last-ditch effort shot by Kevin Durant from the corner fading away that went astray. We'd be singing a lot different tune today if they lost to a Suns team that's under 500, that is playing horribly recently, and it would have been 3 losses in 4 games to start the post-All-Star break version of the season or segment of the season, and nearly 0-4 because they probably should have lost that game that they won in Orlando. But they won. So they're 2-2 since the break. But are all things glowing and happy and good. Well, if you listen to most media here, because they're, it drives me crazy. Some of the media, again, so-called media, that just all they do is praise. They don't look at some of the problems. They just want to praise and praise and praise and praise. John Morant, stop settling for three-point shots. You almost, as good as you were to win that game for your team, you almost cost them with those missed threes that you took. I don't know why you were taking those threes in the overtime when you were getting to the hole at will and you were making great feeds. So the guy has to be the superstar of the team for them to go far. But at times you just wonder about his decision-making. And defensively, they were awful. I don't know. I don't want to be a half-empty guy. I certainly want to be half full because they won the game. But I think there are still some underlying issues moving forward.
Ja, by the way, now in his last 5 games, 4 for 31 from three-point range. And that's with a 2 for 4 game in there. But Jalen Wells, to step up and make the 3 that he made in overtime, he does not seem to be affected by anything. Like, he just catch and release, not even a second thought whatsoever. Drains that one, ends up with 7 points, half the Grizzlies' points in the overtime. He was, again, like, he doesn't. He always has the same look on his face, too. Like,
exactly.
It just never changes. I'm like, dude, that just, like, he didn't even, not even a second thought whatsoever to let that 3 go in overtime.
Dude's got big rocks. He made that other shot as well that he got inside and banked it home.
Yeah, he abused Bol a couple of different times. In the first half, he ended up missing the one, but he could get in there and he'd do that fake, and then he would do the spin move, and Bol would get like completely lost as to where he went. But yeah, once Jaren fouled out, I thought they lost the game. Like, again, I don't even know how many times I was like, that's it. There's no way they can overcome this one. And then, sure enough, they would overcome it. And I don't know. I don't know how they did it, but you look at
the Suns' three-point shooting.
Well, you look at what Phoenix shot, 53% overall. They shot 57% from three-point range. Like, you're not supposed to beat a team that does that. That's virtually impossible to beat a team. They had 5 guys score over 20 points. You don't win those games. Again, it doesn't make sense. They honestly should never have won that game.
No, three-point shooting, their percentage was incredible, shooting just under 57% at 21 of 37. Now, the Grizzlies did make 20, so only one less than the Suns, but it took 48 shots to do so, although that's not too shabby, 41.7%. But, again, if you take out Ja's three-point shooting, oh, my God, what a night. The Grizzlies would be, if you take out Ja's three-point shooting, they would have been 19 of 36. It's got to be the guy. Look, there's some three-point shooters on this team. You have to have the right guy shooting the threes. And I hate to tell Ja, but he's not one of them. After the game, he said, I know every shot I take won't go in, but that don't mean, once you miss one, you stop taking them, Morant said after the game. Just continuing to shoot the ball. Shot it with confidence. He's right. You miss some doesn't mean you stop shooting, but there are better shots for Ja Morant to take. The mid-range, the teardrop, going to the hole. He doesn't have to go in and try to jump over Bol or anything like that. But there are just better and smarter decisions instead of just settling a couple of times. And I'm not talking about all the early misses and how bad he played early. I'm talking about in that fourth quarter or that overtime when he was electric. They don't win the game without Ja Morant, so don't get me wrong. But Ja Morant then had the 2 that he settled from 3 in the overtime that he missed badly, and it kept Phoenix in the game. Again, it's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't. They don't win without Ja, but he also put them into a situation where they almost lost the game a couple of different times. The Suns blew it. They blew the game. This wasn't, in my opinion, the Grizzlies taking the game from them. This was the Suns having all these opportunities. Like you said, 5 guys scored 20 or more points. They allow a tip in. Just missing some free throws down the stretch was extremely costly.
I don't have a problem with Ja taking threes. Like I don't think he should probably ever take 12 in a game. Because Ja just needs to take threes to show teams that he will take threes and make them have to guard him at the 3-point line. Obviously 4 for 31 over the last 5. I mean, he's a better shooter than that. He's at a stretch right now where he just cannot seemingly make any other than the crazy one at the end of the game that ends up being the key. But, the good thing for him, the big thing for him is the 14 for 14 at the free throw line. Absolutely massive. He's up to, what is he? He's getting close to like 85%, I think, at the free throw line. He's become a great free throw shooter. And when you're Ja Morant, that's huge because you're going to get fouled a lot. You're going to have the ball in your hands at the end of games a lot, and they need him to be like that at the free throw line. And the 14 for 14 at the line was just absolutely massive.
Yes, because going to the hole is what he does as well as anybody in the league. You can double him, he's still going to slither his way to the hole. He's going to get there. He may finish, he may dish, but he may get fouled and go to the free throw line. And that was the difference, like you said.
83% he's at now at the free throw line. 14
of 14, right? Is that what he finished? Is that what he said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why don't you want that guy going instead of just settling for a 3 where he was 1 for 12? I mean, I'm sure I'm going to get somebody angry with me because I'm saying what is real. The guy is incredible. He has to be the best player, but he also has to make the best decisions. And the best decision is Ja going to the hole because good things happen. Alley-oop passes, dimes that he's throwing, buckets that he's making. He levitates in the air. It's like Elgin Baylor. I remember watching Elgin Baylor when I was young. He would go up, he would hover, guys would start to come down on their descent, and he would still be up. That's Ja Morant. And then again, if he can't finish, then he goes to the free throw line. But when you just take an uncontested 3, yeah, he'll make them every once in a while. He's 31%. But that's not great when you have guys that are capable of making threes. Santi hit that big 3 when they were down 4. That guy can hit threes. Dez, I don't know. He hasn't been. What's Dez shooting threes at? What percentage? I don't think it's great, but it's better than 31%. And then Kennard obviously is going to shoot some threes. Even Tripp, I think, went 3 for 3 from 3. But, yeah, there's going to be a game where Ja goes 4 out of 5. But they're rare.
Bain is at 38%.
Yeah, I mean, those are the guys you want shooting the threes. But he's Ja Morant. You're not going to say no to an open 3. The problem is that maybe you should every once in a while when you don't have it. But they got the win. Again, over a Suns team that I don't think is good. They have, as I've said for a long time, the Suns are not as good as some of the parts of the team. The parts are individually really good. You have a really good engine and Kevin Durant and a good motor and whatever, and then you put them together and you got a jalopy. You got a bad automobile. It just doesn't work chemistry-wise. But last night they looked good. Again, offensively. Defensively, both teams stunk up the joint. But it was a great game. It was a great game to watch. It was a great game to listen to our fabulous broadcast team. And they got the dub, and now they got the Knicks coming in on Friday. You got all these home games coming up, but the Knicks at home, that's one I really want to see. This is a Knicks team that cannot beat the top teams in the NBA. They've struggled against the top teams, but we know how good they are. So I think this is a good gauge this Friday night.
Well, the thing is, I mean, again, Phoenix doesn't guard at all. They're one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. That's just what they don't have the size to guard bigs. They just don't. They are awful. And we get these same two teams again in a couple of weeks here in Memphis. And Not sure we'll get a 151 to 148 game, but there'll be another game with a bunch of points scored because that's what the Grizzlies want to do. That's what Phoenix is going to do. But yeah, I mean, for pure entertainment, you can't get much better than that. I mean, again, you're talking about the highest scoring game in the history of the franchise. Most points they've ever allowed, but yet they still get the win. So if you're just looking at pure entertainment, the fact that they end up winning the game makes it a heck of a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And also the first overtime game of the year. I was stunned when Pete said that.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by it too. You would expect that somewhere along the line in your first 57 games of a season, you would have had an overtime game.
All right, when we come back, more on the NBA. Luka's night in Los Angeles as the Lakers took on Luka's former team, the Dallas Mavericks. Speaking of basketball, you want to become a better shooter, a better all-around basketball player? I got the place for you. It's called Shoot 360 Memphis. It's a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification, provides instant objective feedback with hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. This is a system that Steph Curry has used throughout his career. I'm not saying you're going to be the next Steph Curry, but I am telling you you're going to become a better shooter. Because, again, they combine everything you need. The modern analytics, the technology, which is second to none. Memphis is not the only city that has the Shoot 360 system. So this is something that's around the country. And you get that instant analysis. And you have also the one-on-one coaching. So it's not just what the numbers tell you, the analytics tell you, because you can get that data right away, arc and depth and all that stuff. But then you have coaches helping you as well. And these are coaches who have been around the game a long, long time, including a former Grizzly assistant coach in Scott Adebato. Great people and really knowledgeable basketball coaches. So if you want to become a member at Shoot 360 Memphis, all you have to do is go online to Shoot 360 Memphis or stop by either of their locations in Cordova or in Collierville. Or better yet, this is what I would suggest, give them a call, set up a tour, tell them you want to come by whatever, next Tuesday at 4 o'clock. They'll bring you around, they'll show you how it all works, and you sign up for a month. You could do month to month right now and then go from there. You're not bogged down with a long-term year or multi-year contract. That's what they offer you at Shoot 360 Memphis. And for all you coaches out there, they not always, but they often have free coaching clinics, okay? The coaching clinics they have are always free to you coaches out there. So take advantage of it. Give them a call. Find out when the next one is scheduled for. But the phone number to call in Cordova is 901-779-3176. And in Collierville, it's 901-316-5500. The future of basketball training is right here. It's Shoot 360 Memphis. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest specialist in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Tiger Nation, Memphis men's basketball is back in action at FedEx Forum Wednesday, February 26th at 7 when the Tigers welcome the Rice House to the 901. It will be our Wear Black game, sponsored by Regional One Health, as fans are encouraged to show off their favorite black Memphis gear. Tiger Nation will also be treated to a special halftime performance from Drummers Unlimited. It's time to stand up, Memphis, and cheer on your first-place Tigers. Be sure to get your tickets now at GoTigersGo.com.
All 650 acquisition fee, 20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Pay for SEO 233118, MSRP 25320, Telluride SG59624, MSRP 41060, Sportage S719 2005, MSRP 30660. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through KFA. Excludes top final license 895 PF with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 3/2/2025.
It's the Kia President's Day sales event on now at Gossett Kia Southbound Mariah. Hey, what's up, Jeff Allen?
Randy, I've got a 2025 Kia K4 LXS for less than $5 a day at $159 a month with class-leading torque and fuel efficiency. 2025 Kia Telluride S front-wheel drive with more power, larger cargo area, and more ground clearance than a Nissan Pathfinder. $398 a month. Plus a 2025 Sportage EX, better overall customer rating than a Toyota RAV4 and longer warranty per Edmunds.com at $279 a month.
All $49.99 to signing 24-month lease. Plus, get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Mariah.
You get the best of Memphis for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack. Choose from house pastrami, corned beef, smoked turkey, roast beef, roast pork, beef brisket, and pulled shoulders, all made in-house. Elwood's fresh baked bread is delivered daily only in our bakery in Cordova, and all Elwood's cakes and sweet treats come from Frost Bakery. Open daily for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack on summer in the Lowe's parking lot. And the newest Elwood's at 4045 and plus when you are there. Get the best of Memphis or anywhere else at Elwood Shack.
Hi, this is Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you. Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. It's trying to load up a little bit of volume coming in from Collierville on 385 Billboards Parkway all the way to 240. Still looks good right now in the Midtown area on 240 as you come up past Lamar. It's trying to crank up 51 southbound coming in from Millington. Hey, if your yard needs a little bit of help this time of the year, don't worry. Lawn Solutions has over 30 years experience. Call Lawn Solutions today, 901 area code 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
Back to Sports 56 Morning on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Got some text to get to on the Grizzlies from last night. 360-8255, 360-8255. That is the Sissies Log Cabin listener line that you can dial us up on. Again, 360-8255. We do have on X. Jeffrey says, great game last night, but only a 3-point home win. How many spots in the net are we going to drop? Raider Corey says, I'm exhausted after watching that marathon last night. What a performance. For those who think we can win without Ja, hopefully we can file that silliness away. The guy couldn't hit a shot, but came through in the clutch. Ron says, Ja needs to always attack the paint. He won the game with free throws. Again, 14 out of 14 at the line for Ja last night. And he is by far his best free throw shooting year. I think the previous best was like 77%, something like that. He's up to 83% now at the line this year.
I know Ja is not the type of player that really cares if he scores 35 or scores 15 as long as his team wins. And they don't run that type of offense where one player is going to dominate and score a bunch of points. It's a little bit more even. But if Ja Morant was going to the hole all the time or hitting the little elbow jumper, the floater, he could average easily 32, 33 points a game. I mean, assuming he plays the minutes and is not settling with those long-range bombs, I'm telling you, the guy could easily average over 30. But it doesn't matter to him. He is definitely the consummate professional and team player that whether he scores 10, like I said, 15, or 35, it doesn't really matter as long as they get the dub.
Another texter here says, I'm sorry, I just don't get it when people say ill-advised threes. It is that's what their offense is, predicated on Dylan Brooks. He used to get a lot of heat when they want him to take more threes. That is the name of the game in the NBA. The assistant coach that they hired, that's the way they want this offense to run. Jack up threes, get down the floor, put them up in volume. So I don't get this. It's what NBA and college basketball is all about now.
Yeah, to a certain extent, absolutely. That's the offense they run. More possessions, more shots. Yes, certainly. But when you have a guy who probably is top 2-3 dribble drive penetrator in the NBA, I think it's a disservice when he's not doing that and settling for threes last night when he settled for 12 of them. I understand he's going to shoot some threes, but John Moran doesn't need to be shooting 12 threes. That's all there is to it. So in those possessions, to me, unless you're getting an offensive rebound and you're scoring second chance points, you're ruining that possession. Yes, they're getting more possessions, but so's the other team getting more possessions when they play Memphis.
Key says Ja's body language in the first quarter was horrible. When he starts off like that, it just contaminates the entire team. Yeah, again, the first 3 quarters, he was terrible. The first quarter, it was the same thing. Like, he did it he just kept going. He was going to the rim. He would get blocked or whatever or miss. And he thought he got fouled on every one of them. And he would stop and he'd look at the officials, complain to the officials. And then the next possession, he would do the exact same thing. It was like, I was like, okay, we need to, first of all, get the ball to Jaren because they can't stop him. And just quit complaining to the officials on every single one of these calls. Like that stuff that just drives me crazy in the NBA that every player thinks every time they miss a shot,
they got
fouled. Like, there's no way no one could ever block your shot and nobody could ever stop you without fouling you. It drives me crazy. And Ja's one of those, but he's a normal NBA player in that realm that, like, every time he would miss in that first quarter on those drives to the rim, he would turn to the official and complain that he got fouled.
Exactly. There's going to be physicality in the league, so some is going to be allowed. And sometimes a defensive player just steps up and makes the play. And it might even be a little physical. They're not going to blow the whistle on every single play. Yeah, are there ones that are missed? Absolutely. But one, not every one, like you said, is a foul on Ja. And number two, he has to stop complaining because he's now he's out of position to get back on defense. And it may cost them a possession or two in a game.
Another texter says, Bol Bol was actually impressive, I must say. Yeah, Bol Bol, I mean, the 2 games against the Grizzlies has been really, really good. Like, Bol Bol, he's got a ton of skill. Like, the dude is, he blocked, was it Ja that he blocked the 3 on when he was like 10 feet away from him and still blocked the shot.
I didn't know if
it was like crazy. I was like, I can't believe he was able to reach that thing.
I think it was Ja, but wasn't there another one where Dez had his shot blocked as well late in that game? I'm trying to remember. There was one, it's just like, almost like somebody shot a quail out of the air. It's just like, where did that
what happened there? I can't remember, but it was on the wing, and like Bol Bol like wouldn't come all the way out, like he was standing. So you thought, oh, got room to shoot this. And they shoot it, he still blocks. You're like, how the hell did he get that thing like that? That's an amazing reach that he has. But I mean, the dude can shoot it. He hit a couple of little floaters. Like he's a pretty darn skilled basketball player.
How about Grayson Allen, the former Grizzly? 6 of 9 from 3.
That's what he does. Again, and the Grizzlies kept leaving him wide open in the corner. Like it's the only reason he's in the league. Like you can't leave Grayson.
It's a good reason.
You can't leave Grayson Allen standing wide open in the corner. Like they just kept doing it over and over again. I'm like, my goodness, can somebody please recognize that's Grayson Allen?
Right. Exactly.
Max says Coach Jenkins has to go. He's scared to coach Ja.
Ouch.
I don't know that he's scared to coach him, whatever, but again, they're not going to tell anybody on this team to stop shooting.
No.
So if you think like that, that's just not going to happen. Like they're, and the thing is, like they have, and Taylor even talked about after the game, like those are in rhythm. He's shooting with confidence. We're gonna they don't look at that as a negative. Like they're gonna continue to encourage him to do that. And in the end of the game, they're gonna trust him in those situations. And in the end of the game, he came through, got him to overtime, and then they won the game. But I don't think it's scared to coach like that. They're fine with Ja playing that way overall. Like they're okay.
Well, whether or not it's within the scheme of the offense, these are professional athletes and men, and I don't think there's too many coaches in the history of the game that would sit you down, especially a star player, and say don't shoot or limit your amount of shots. Maybe there's been a few. I don't know, but I doubt it. I don't think even a guy like as gruff and rough as Greg Popovich would say that to Manu Ginobili. Hey, you're shooting too many threes. In college, it's a different ball game. High school, forget about it. But with professionals, it ain't going to happen. They ain't going to tell them to stop shooting. They ain't going to tell Ja Morant to stop shooting. But Ja's got to realize, again, how special a player he is, but he's only an average shooter. Right? You got to realize that you're a top 5 finisher and you're a mediocre shooter. Again, that's blasphemy, I know, but that's the truth.
The thing, and to go back to the other texture, like this is what they want out of Ja. The main thing, it's because it's everything they talk about constantly, is just make sure you're keeping the pace up. They just want to play with pace. That's bottom line. Mm-hmm. They want to play with pace. They want to play fast. And they want to shoot a bunch of threes. And they're not going to tell Ja to stop shooting threes or anything. As long as they're playing fast, that's what they want to do. And the texter's right. The coach they brought in, like that's
their style.
That's what he wants to do. They consider the dude like an offensive genius, and this is his style. They want to play at the fastest pace in the league, which they do. And they're going to shoot a whole bunch of threes in doing that. And they're going to get a lot of open threes. And they may go in, they may not go in, whatever. But the biggest thing is they want to play at that high-octane, fast pace. And they've been doing it all year long.
Yeah, and we'll see if it pans out in the end. Because the most important games will be happening after the regular season closes shop. When they get to the postseason, will this system, which has worked for the most part, will it be effective in the playoffs?
Well, the key will be that's like because in playoffs generally just the game slows down. So can you play at this pace? How does that work in the postseason when normally the game grinds down a lot more once postseason gets here? We'll see. We have no idea. They haven't gotten. This is the first year of doing this, and if it. Generally, in an offense like this, if you make the threes, it looks great. If you have a terrible night shooting threes, it looks terrible. But that's the key. But that's with so many different teams in the NBA. If you make threes, you're going to look really good. If you don't make threes, you're going to look really bad offensively. That's the other texter's right. And that's in college, and that's at every level of basketball now. You can generally just look at the three-point shooting and go, okay, look at what Alabama did last night again. Like when they're knocking down threes, they're unstoppable. They're going to score 1,000,000 points. That's the way the game is played now.
The Grizz and Suns had the game of the night, maybe the game of the year in the NBA, but the eyes, for the most part, were focused on Los Angeles and the Mavericks and the Lakers. And Luka Doncic going up against his former team. I think the bigger deal is going to be when the Lakers go to Dallas later on in the season. But last night, it was the first meeting between Luka and his former team. And Doncic and the Lakers were able to prevail, 107-99. Of course, no Anthony Davis playing for Dallas. He's out with the injury. And all Luka did was throw up a triple-double. Doncic with let's see. Where's numbers? 19 points, 15 rebounds, 12 assists. Lakers win 107-99. Doncic becomes only the third player to record a triple-double against every NBA franchise, as he does it against his former team. Afterwards, he said it was just a lot of emotions and not much sleep. He said of the game coming only 3.5 weeks after the trade. I can't even explain it. It was a different game. Sometimes I don't know what I was doing, and I'm just glad it's over, honestly. So you got a guy who's still rounding into shape. He's not 100%. He obviously had the weight of the world on his shoulders and still throws up a ho-hum triple-double.
Yeah, but I mean, again, he can go get a triple-double anytime he wants. Luka can't, since he joined the Lakers, shooting 25% from three-point range.
Right.
Nobody's going to tell Luka to stop shooting. But he's struggling. He's had 3 of the 5 games he's played. He's been 1 for 7 or worse. He was 1 for 7 last night. He's had 2 1 for 7 games and a 1 for 9 game from three-point range. But they're not going to tell him to stop shooting.
Right. But Luka's a proven entity, shooting threes. He's a proven entity. Nobody's going to stop Ja from shooting either, but Ja's not a proven entity shooting threes. Again, there's a difference. You can go into a slump or you can be off, and certainly Luka is taking a little bit to get adjusted to playing with a new team. I'm sure that was just an absolute shock to the system. And yet, again, still not there yet. Still throws up a triple-double. Lakers win again last night as they take down the Dallas Mavericks. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk some college basketball. 8:05, Tim Cramsey, Memphis Tigers offensive coordinator, will be joining us. Then Jerry Palm at 8:25 on his latest bracketology. It's dinner. It's lunch. It's Corky's. I know it's breakfast time right now. You're probably not thinking about those other meals later in the day, but before too long, you will be. After working in the morning, you'll be thinking about lunch, and then after lunch, as the day progresses, you'll be thinking about dinner. What to do? Maybe bring home some Corky's to the family. Maybe bring the family out to Corky's. 4 locations: Poplar Avenue in Memphis, Poplar Avenue in Collierville, Germantown Parkway in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. They've been serving up that delicious slow-smoked barbecue for 4 decades. They've been catering the entire time as well. So you have an event coming up, no matter how large, Corky's can take care of it for you. They'll start you out as low as $7.99 per person. They'll come to where you are. They'll set it all up and have that delicious barbecue. Again, Corky's, 40 years have been putting together that delicious lunch or dinner for you and for all folks around the country, as you can ship Corky's anywhere you like. Lunch specials every day, party packs that start at just $7.49. When you head over for lunch or dinner, you get yourself your entree, add a third of a rack of ribs for just $7.99. That's some good eating. Corky's Ribs and Barbecue, open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. It's not spring yet, but it's close, and right now, it's the perfect time to start thinking and planning for your backyard entertainment. It just so happens Family Leisure is thinking that way too, with their preseason pool and patio sale. Get 2024 pricing on all above-ground pools and patio furniture. Also, secure your spot for pool installation. That way, you can go ahead and start making plans. Lots of new inventory is en route, so in-stock patio furniture is up to 70% off. You want a play gym, a trampoline. How about an outdoor kitchen to go along with that new pool? They're all on sale too. You can get spas up to $3,000 off and save even more by mentioning this ad. You do that, you'll get a $250 gift card with a pool, spa, or patio furniture purchase. Winter won't last forever. The spring will be here soon, so get ready with the preseason pool and patio sale at Family Leisure, Rick Road off I-40, where family and fun all come together.
They're taking care of beerness in Memphis right on the river with Grind City Brewing and all of their great products. Look, this was a dream come true for a father and son duo. And if you have not been to that brewery right on the river, just to the north of downtown, you're really missing something special. And now you can't miss their products. Wherever you go, you see a brand new label. It's clean, it's beautiful, it's distinctive. You'll know Grind City Brewing, and of course you know their products like Poppy's Pills, that great Pilsner, or Tiger Tail, that very creative craft malt liquor. There's the new Thaddeus Amber Lager. That is absolutely a great light beer. There's the India Pale called God Hopper. It's outstanding. And then there's the Belga, the Belgian-style wheat ale. They keep bringing hits at Grind City Brewing.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. If you're a first-time guest or have dined with us countless times, I want to thank you for making us part of your lives. Whether you're celebrating with the crowd or planning a cozy date night on the town, Napa Cafe can provide you an extraordinary evening. We have 5 dining rooms, including our private wine cellar, our Jan's room for 2 guests, and the Eleanor room for parties up to 60. Sit back, relax, and celebrate. Leave the cooking to us. Come see me at Napa Cafe, 5101 Sanderlin Avenue. We're open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. We also offer curbside pickup from our full menu. For details on our stay-in, dine-out menu or reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe in 2024. We can't wait to serve you.
Andy Wise here. For 6 years, I've endorsed Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South as the standard in affordable luxury. Now get this. Pella just got more affordable. 12 months, no interest, no payments on what Consumer Reports has rated the highest quality windows on the planet, plus 50% off installation. That includes consumer guarantees no other window company will ever match. You have my word. You'll make the wise choice when you choose Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings. Good morning on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
We'll get into the Tigers at 9:05 as they get ready for Rice tonight, UAB on Sunday, and then 2 games next week, and that's it. Then they're done the regular season, conference tournament play. We'll begin in a couple weeks at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, but tonight it's Memphis against Rice. The Tigers are 14.5-point favorite. In the SEC, Ole Miss at number 1, Auburn. We'll have that game for you right here on Sports 56, 98.5 FM, beginning with the pregame at 5:30. They'll tip it just after 6. Vandy at number 12, Texas A&M. Number 17, Kentucky at Oklahoma. That's the docket for tonight as far as SEC games are concerned. Last night, though.
Texas and Arkansas, too.
Oh, I skipped that one. Sorry.
Which is a huge bubble game for both of those teams.
That is bubblicious. No question about that. But last night, yesterday on the show, didn't I say, what's happened with Mike White, Georgia? They were pretty good early, and then they faded, and you said it's the SEC. That's what happened to them. And then they beat Florida last night, his former team. 88-83, Georgia, unranked, knocks off number 3 Florida.
Yeah, pretty incredible game. They had the 26-point lead in the first half. Florida came all the way back, took the lead with just, I think, right around a minute to go, which you thought that would be the end of it. But they go back down and able to recover. They hit a big 3. I can't remember who hit the 3, but they hit a huge 3 there right after Florida had got the lead, put them back on top, and then held on to get the win. So big win for Georgia, certainly, when it comes to the bubble, to get that type of win. Their fans waited to storm the court. They asked them to wait 90 seconds. They waited, let Florida get off the floor, let the officials get off the floor, and then storm the court. So they were very much very cooperative as well. But I thought for sure once they officially blew the 26-point lead, I was like, oh, there's no way they can recover. And sure enough, they did.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Also last night, number 5 Tennessee went down to Baton Rouge, beat LSU 65-59. The big one in the SEC last night was Mississippi State and Alabama. Mississippi State, I said this Monday, Jekyll and Hyde. That team is Jekyll and Hyde. At times they look great. At other times they look horrible. And I know Alabama can make you look horrible, but they lost by 38 points last night at Coleman Coliseum in Tuscaloosa. Number 6 Alabama knocking off number 24 Mississippi State. 111-73. Ouch.
Again, Alabama was 22 out of 45 from three-point range. You make 22 threes in a college game, you're going to blow somebody out, especially when you're doing it at about a 50% clip. They made 16 more threes in Mississippi State. That's impossible to overcome.
Well, you got to do a little better in trying to guard the perimeter. Just because they run this high-octane offense.
Good luck against Alabama.
Well, if not that, you got to score the ball yourself. Mississippi State, I'm trying to find this real quick, what they ended up 6 of 30. I mean, you have no chance. You're giving up that many, and you shoot 6 of 30 from 3. You're dead man walking. Also last night, number 14, Mizzou beat South Carolina by 30, 101-71. When Mizzou wins, which is a high percentage of the time, they blow out teams. They absolutely blow out teams. This Mizzou team can score. They may not be Alabama, but they did score 110 against Alabama recently, winning that game. So that's what happened last night in the SEC. Auburn, again, playing tonight against Ole Miss, has a 2-game lead over Alabama, and, of course, they beat them head-to-head. Florida is in 3rd, and then tied for 4th is Tennessee and Missouri. You mentioned the big bubble game tonight in Fayetteville. Arkansas is 5-9, Texas is 5-9, and both are 16-11 overall, 5-9 in the conference. So it is indeed a big one. Nationally, Duke over Miami, 97-60. If people bet Duke to cover every spread, I wonder what their percentage is of covering. I think people would be rich.
I'm not sure what the record is against spread. You can probably bet against Miami and be doing pretty well, too. Miami gets blown out pretty regularly.
Yeah, remember we were talking about the coaches yesterday? Mentioned that Utah fired their coach. Is Larinaga still there? He's still there, right?
I think he's coaching out the season.
Yeah, he's another one that's coaching out the season, correct? I didn't make that up, right? Larinaga, Woodson. Who's the other one you brought up yesterday? It's basically coaching out their season?
You got Woodson, you got Larinaga.
It was Leonard Hamilton at Florida State.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. And what do they all have in common? Obviously, older coaches towards the end of their career, right? But this will probably be it. But probably frustrated with everything that's going on in this portal world, this NIL world. And these guys are all...
Well, Larinaga and Hamilton, it's that their teams are terrible. That's their issue. Their teams are bad.
But they're also...
Especially Larinaga. I mean, Miami is god-awful.
Yes, but they're also ancient, and I would imagine that that's it for all these guys once this season ends. All right, when we come back, hour number 2, we open up talking about the University of Memphis football team, but also about the Combine, which starts today, actually starts tomorrow in Indianapolis, and on Saturday, former Tiger quarterback Seth Hennigan, former wide receiver Rock Taylor will be participating as they are 2 of the over 300 players invited to the Combine. We'll talk to their former offensive coordinator about their chances and about this year's upcoming 2025 Memphis Tigers team. That's coming up next. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Designed to maximize your workouts and minimize your time. Exercise Coach gives you personal workouts like one-on-one with a trainer. Check out Exercise Coach at exercisecoach.com/Lakeland or exercisecoach.com/Age, injury, or knowledge.
It's
inevitable, rain, snow, and ice are coming, and they'll make driving a challenge. Thankfully, the experts at Tire Rack know a thing or two about conquering winter's worst. New tires elevate traction and braking, and they'll keep you safe. Tire Rack sells only the best, like the full line of Falcon tires. Go to TireRack.com/Colin, build a tire and wheel package for DIY installation. Ship fast and free, and backed by 2 years of free road hazard protection. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. It's been pretty quiet for the most part. As far as serious wrecks, we've seen a couple of fender benders. Traffic's loading up through the Midtown area. On 240 northbound at Lamar, it continues to build with a little bit more volume up through South Haven. On 55 northbound, all that traffic coming up from the south there out of DeSoto County. Hey, if your lawn needs a little bit of help this time of the year, don't worry. Lawn Solutions, they're here to help with 30 years experience. Lawn Solutions, call them today at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios, we are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:02 the time. Hour 2 here on Sports 56 mornings on this Wednesday, February 26th, 2025. Happy Hump Day to you. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Elijah Seegers with you. We're broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. The preseason pool and patio sale continues. 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Currently 54 degrees. It'll get up to 76 today. Wow. Sunshine for the most part, a few clouds. And tonight, overcast, 50 degrees for your low. That's not too shabby. Tomorrow, high of 67, sunshine, then a high of 73 on Friday. Sunshine looks like throughout the weekend before we get back to the possibility of a little precipitation early next week. So take advantage of this beautiful late February and then early March weather. Coming up in just a few moments, Memphis Tigers football offensive coordinator Tim Cramsey. Then Jerry Palm joins us at 8:25 with his latest bracketology. Do want to tell you, folks, about our second hour sponsor. You know by now, it's James Gaddis Jewelers. They've been with us for years and years, and they've been serving up Memphians and Mid-Southerners that great jewelry experience for 6 decades. That's unbelievable. Started on Summer Avenue years ago, and they've been at that Poplar Avenue location now for, I guess, about 30 years. They are your bridal engagement and anniversary jeweler headquarters. They are full-service jewelers with 2 bench jewelers ready to serve you daily. So if you need to go in for a simple cleaning or resetting of your ring, refitting, whatever it is, they can take care of that for you. All their diamonds are independently graded and certified. They know there's a lot of competition. They want to make sure they have a price point to suit everyone's budget. So maybe you're popping the question this year and looking for that beautiful diamond engagement ring, wedding rings, personally designed wedding sets, or any other fine jewelry. It makes sense to go to James Gaddis Jewelers. That's for watches and for necklaces and bracelets and pendants and all types of vintage and antique jewelry. James Gaddis Jewelers open Monday through Friday from 10 to 5, Saturday from 10 to 4. They're closed on Sunday. James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar, right between Mendenhall and St. Nick, and on the web at gaddisjewelers.com.
Jim Larinaga, by the way, is not coaching out the season. When he stepped down, he's done. Bill Courtney is their interim coach.
So I wasn't sure, but I knew Larinaga kind of got fed up with everything early on. These coaches, again, the older coaches, certainly they're at the end of their coaching tenure for the most part, but they've made their money, they've made their mark, and they're just fed up with what's going on with everything from NIL to portal. Now we're going to have revenue sharing. The game's changed for them. They've coached so long, it's evolved over those years, and you can understand the frustration why guys like Jay Wright got out early. That's why I'm thinking Bill Self is probably close. He's having a bad year. Doesn't mean they can't make a run in the tournament, but I think that you're going to see a couple of more of these guys that just are tired of it. And then of course, there's Rick Pitino, who's back in the fold and having an unbelievable amount of success. Well, as I mentioned, the Combine coming up starting tomorrow in Indianapolis. 2 Tigers will be involved in the Combine, both on Saturday, because that's when the quarterbacks and the wide receivers will participate. And that means Seth Hennigan, and that means Rock Taylor. And, of course, we have spring football right around the corner. After an 11-win season, a huge year for the Memphis Tigers football team. They're going to get back on the horse here in just a matter of days, and we are very pleased to be joined by their excellent offensive coordinator, Tim Cramsey, who you can follow on Twitter at TCramsey19. He joins us now on Sports 56 Mornings. Tim, how are you?
I'm doing great, buddy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. It was nice to run into you at the M Club Hall of Fame. Kind of nice to see a member of the coaching staff go into the Hall of Fame in Reggie Howard.
Yeah, that's a big deal for Reggie, man. It was great for us to be there and see him. Coach Hank was there with us as well. But to be able to see him go in, that's a big deal. And to have guys like him who've done so much for the program to be back in the program right now, the testament to what's going on right now.
Well, look, we know how close a relationship you have with both Seth and with Rock Taylor. I'm going to start with Seth, though. And he gets the late invite to the Senior Bowl. I don't know if he doesn't participate in the Senior Bowl if he gets the Combine invite. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. It's unfortunate there's a lot of great players out there that don't go to Indianapolis because it's limited. But what did you think of the performance that he put together for the Senior Bowl? Obviously, the practices during the week, the evaluation from the NFL personnel, and then in that game to do what he did in that fourth quarter to lead the team to a comeback victory, winning it on the last pass of the game, the last play of the game, winning it with a touchdown pass.
Well, it's funny on our side of it because we've seen it for 4 years. You guys have seen it for 4 years. I've seen it for 3 years. And for him to go down there and do what he did, that's what we kind of expect of Seth. You expect Seth to just take advantage of the opportunity. You expect Seth to be right in the situations that he's in. For people on the outside of Memphis football, they might have been a little bit surprised at what he did, but people involved with Seth and people that know Seth weren't surprised at all at what he did. Now, I think that is foreshadowing as to what and who he is for everyone who watched him. Mm-hmm. When given an opportunity, that kid's going to be successful. And he went down to the Senior Bowl, and they're talking about all the other quarterbacks that were in that game and, the big names and the guys that are supposed to go day one and all that type of stuff. And he just goes in, keeps his mouth shut, goes to work, and shows that he can battle with any of them. So I think that's who he is, and I believe if whatever organization gives him a chance, he's going to make them proud and make them happy and make that team.
How big of a difference do you think does it make, especially for a quarterback, to be the son of a coach and having grown up around the game constantly, probably constantly having conversations about things you're seeing. That how big of a difference does that make just from the mental approach, especially for a quarterback?
I think it's huge. I think it's a really big deal, and you can tell the difference when you recruit a coach's kid to when you recruit a guy who is not a coach's kid. You know, not better, worse talent, skill-wise, but like you're saying, in the classroom, Seth, his best attribute, and I've said it since the day I've met him, and every time someone asks me that question, is how smart he is. You know, our quarterback coach right now, Mitch Stewart, said the other day, it's like almost intimidating smart when you sit down in a room with him and talk ball, and he remembers things. And there's just little things that as a quarterback coach you see, like he's in that big moment in the game at the Senior Bowl, and he's doing the little things, like he's counting to make sure there's 11 guys in the huddle, and he's doing that type of stuff. And that's the type of smart that we're talking about that other players aren't thinking about in that situation. And to me, that's what, you know, as I always said, he grew up in the field house. That's what he knows.
Coach, you just talked about his intelligence. Obviously, he's one of the smarter players probably that you have coached, but he has other attributes. What would you say are the positives that these personnel members from NFL teams are going to be wowed by? And then what do you think of the other areas that he really needs to improve upon to have that legitimate shot to play in the National Football League?
His intelligence speaks for itself, and he's dominating the interviews and all that type of stuff he's going to. I think a big, you know, his best physical attribute is his accuracy. I said it the other day in the offensive staff meeting, like, you know, we're going to see some things that we got spoiled with. We got great quarterbacks in the quarterback room, don't get me wrong, but we're going to see something we got spoiled with. And one of them was very rarely did you say Seth Hennigan missed that throw. He threw incompletions, people batted balls down, he could have thrown better, but very rarely did you just say he flat out missed an open receiver, you know? And to me, that's something that's obviously very important for a quarterback, and I think one of his best attributes when the next level starts looking. His calmness in the pocket is something that the next level is going to be impressed with. You know, and then to me that comes with experience. He's played 50 games. That's very, very, very few people can say he played 50 games in college football. Now, some of his physical attributes, his athletic ability might be a scratch against him, you know, because quarterback position is changing. You know, the Tom Brady's of the world, you don't see those guys much in the NFL anymore. You know, the quarterbacks that are making runs in the NFL are overly athletic guys. You think of the final 6 teams in the NFL this year. They're all athletic quarterbacks. Mahomes can move around. Lamar Jackson can move around. Josh Allen's a freak. You know what I mean? Jalen Hurts is a freak. Those guys are different level athletes. And to me, that might be something people look at Seth and say, can he do that stuff at the next level? And again, to me, you give Seth Hennigan a shot, he's going to prove you wrong in any doubt you have against him.
You mentioned just the number of games, and that, you know, obviously there are not very many 4-year starters, especially they don't do it at one school. But how big of a deal you think that is for him as the way the NFL teams will view him? The one that he stayed at a program for 4 years, but also was the starter for that entire time.
Yeah, I think that's huge for the NFL team. I think they're looking for loyalty as much as anybody in college football is. I mean, hey, the transfer portal moved down to high school football. You go to certain areas of the country, kids are moving high schools every season to find the team they want to fit on. And we take that into consideration. That's one of the first questions I ask kids when I find out and I like them and I go to recruit them is, have you been at this school for 3 years? If they give me well, no, I was at this school, then I went to this school, and I did this in my 3rd school. I'm thinking to myself, you're going to do the same thing when you get to college, you know? But for Seth to come in and show that loyalty and show that consistency and have the ability to play as a true freshman, that's unheard of. You know, especially the quarterback position.
Absolutely.
Very few people are ready to play the quarterback position in college coming out of high school.
Memphis Tigers offensive coordinator Tim Cramsey. He's joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. All right, Rock Taylor will also be in Indianapolis, and again on Saturday it's quarterbacks and wide receivers. So both your former stars will be able to perform on the same day. Rock Taylor obviously has all the physical attributes you want in a receiver. I thought he got off to a bit of a slow start this year and then really put it into another gear. And he's been around the program for a while. What can you tell us about Rock Taylor and his chances to play at the next level?
Yeah, well, first off, I wish Seth and Rock were getting ready for another spring ball season with us. I'd love to have them back for another year.
Sorry, Coach, sorry.
That'd be helpful. Yeah, Rock, like you said, Rock's got all the physical attributes. Now, the Rock is going to be a very important weekend on how he tests. He's going to be big. He's going to be strong. He's going to be physical. We got all that. Like for Seth to go out and run a 40, if he runs a 4.8, that's fine. You know, Rock goes out and runs a 4.7. That's devastating for him in the combine. You know, so he's got to go out and put out numbers as a wide receiver and skill position in the NFL. So that's going to be the big part for Rock. Now he has the skill set. You know, you say he got out to a slow start, and I see what you're saying, but a lot of that was, and we talk all throughout the season, Greg, you know that, but like a lot of that was what defenses were doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
No one knew Mario Anderson going into the season, including the other defensive coordinators, but they knew Seth Hennigan. So what they were going to do was test our run game, and they double teamed Rock, and they dropped 8, and they forced us to run the ball, and then Mario and the O-line started doing their thing, and then it opened up, and then we go back to Rock. So, you know, he has Rock's going to impress people with his work ethic. He's going to impress people with his size. He's got all the skill set for it. His big test is when you start dealing with those wide receivers at the NFL level, you know, athletically, can he stay up with them? And that's his big thing this weekend at the Combine, is to prove that and show that. I believe he does, but that's what he has to prove to everybody else out there.
You mentioned that you've been spoiled with Seth Hennigan, the things he did on the field. Obviously, for you, since you've been here, like, he's the guy. You hadn't had to worry about and who the starting quarterback was going to be. So going into spring ball, kind of, what is that like? How is the approach as far as now trying to have a quarterback competition and find that new starting quarterback?
All right, I'm going to say this is number one, all right, because I'm going to get asked this question maybe 6,000 times by the time spring ball ends. All right. So the quarterback room is loaded. The quarterback room is stacked. The quarterback room is overly talented. Their skill sets in that room there's 4 guys in that room who are very, very, very good quarterback skill set. We brought the kid in from Nevada who has 36 game starts under his belt, Brendan Lewis. He's a Melissa, Texas kid just outside of Dallas. He played at Colorado. When Dion came in and brought Shador with him, he transferred up to Nevada and played he has over 7,000 yards running and throwing in college football. That's a big deal. Great skill set. Not better, not worse than Seth Hennigan, different. Mm-hmm. You're going to see a better athlete in him. You're going to see a guy who runs 21 miles an hour on the GPS. You're going to see a guy who can stand back there and spin it. A guy who has you know me and my favoritism towards Dallas, Texas quarterbacks. You know, he has that Dallas, Texas in him, coming from Melissa High School, which is a big program down there, and you can't coach experience. You know, so he's it's good to get him in the room. Then the other 3 guys, Harris Boyd was our backup last year, another Dallas, Texas kid who played a couple plays for us last year, but he is smart. He is a lot like Seth in the sense he has a solid skill set. Who, but knows the offense. Been with me for over 2 seasons now, so he knows the offense. He knows it inside out. You know, he's going to be able to battle that way. And then the 2 young guys, Arrington Maiden is a freak skill set. He's another dual threat type guy. He's a 6'4", 6'5", 220-pound kid who can run in the 20 miles an hour range. And then the kid that just came in with us, AJ Hill, has been overly impressive in his knowledge of the game. That's what you look at when kids first come in. He's big. He's got a monster arm. He's got a great skill set. You always say, can the freshman come in and show that he can play? Well, he's picked up the playbook unbelievably quick for a kid of his age coming out of high school. So it's going to be a fun spring. It's going to be they're going to battle. They're going to show out. But that quarterback room right now is stacked. And you know, the experience of B. Lou gives him a little bit of an edge. You can't coach 36-game starter in college football, you know.
Hey, by the way, Coach, and I'm not going to go through all these positions here. We appreciate you joining us here, just kind of get a little taste of what's going to happen with spring ball. But where is Sutton Smith on his rehabilitation from his injury?
Yeah, he's going to be able to do a little bit of stuff in the spring. He'll be a full go 100% come summertime. He's a freak. People forget about him, you know? People forget about him because he got hurt early. I sure haven't forgotten. Let me give you this stat. When people ask me, was he going to be a big part of the offense last year? Because of the unfortunate thing that happened to him, he played 17 plays last season. Okay? Mm-hmm. He was targeted, and touched the ball 8 times.
Wow.
In those 17 plays. So he was going to be a monster part of the offense. And he's going to be a big part of the offense right now. Him and Greg back there. I'm going to keep saying this throughout spring. In the running back room, although they can play anywhere on the field, they can go to receiver, they can play. They're going to be all over the place. Those two guys are dynamic, and Sutton will be able to do a little bit of individual stuff. He won't do the team stuff in the springtime, but he'll be ready full go come summer to get himself completely back into shape, and a full go 100% come fall camp, ready to roll.
Yeah, and the Greg that Coach is alluding to is not me, of course. It's Greg DeWosier. and then finally,
we'll take you though. We'll take you, Greg. Yeah. We'll put the ball in hands. Come on.
40 years ago, maybe. All right, and then real quick on the tight ends. The whole Anthony Lanfear thing was weird because we thought he was gone, then we thought we had him back, and then he's gone again, and we know that Doyle has moved on. I think signing maybe with Stanford or Cal, one of those teams out west. But what's the tight end room look like?
Tight end room is a good tight end room. The lampshade, Lanfear, I call him lampshade. You guys know that. That situation was weird. It was a shame. It was the NC2A throwing a rule in with the junior college deal that was very weirdly worded and whatever. So anyway, it was a shame for the kid. We'd love to have Anthony back. That'd be great. But he's moving on. Hopefully he gets himself a shot at the next level. But the tight end room is new to Memphis football. But we got some older guys. We got a very talented junior college transferring who's a lot like Anthony Lanfear, and y'all remember Caden Prescore, a big body who can run around and catch. We got a kid from Penn State who's a 6'5", 270-pound bruiser who's more athletic than 6'5", 270-pound sounds right now. We got another junior college kid who's built a lot like Doyle and Jamari, who were here last year.
Right. We lose
guy who's been in the program. He's been in the program, and it's his turn. It's his, he's stayed here and he's battled and he's sat behind some guys, and now this is his spring to show that he's learned and he's ready to go. And we got a great freshman in that room, John Hart. So the cupboard's not bare. It's new names from Memphis football fan base, but it's not bare. We like to use a tight end in this offense.
Well, the excitement in your voice has me excited about what's going to happen in 2025 after the great 2024 season. Spring football getting cranked up here very, very soon. He is the offensive coordinator for the University of Memphis. He is Tim Cramsey. You can follow him on Twitter at @TCramsey19. Coach, as always, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. Anytime, man. It's fun to be on the radio talking with you.
Thank you, Coach. Take care. Good stuff from Tim Cramsey.
Fleet Feet, that's the place to go to get all your running gear. You want to make sure you get shoes that are just right for you, and the folks at Fleet Feet will do that for you. Go see them in either the Laurelwood Shopping Center in East Memphis or out in Collierville, Poplar, and Houston Levy. They'll take a look at the way you run or walk and get you fitted with shoes that are just right for you, plus all the other gear, everything you need. Plus, you get involved with their group runs and other things they do. Of course, they sponsor a lot of races as well. Get involved with all the stuff they've got going on. They're all about the runners, the running community at Fleet Feet.
Coming up next, Jerry Palm and his latest bracketology. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a home that perfectly fits your budget and needs.
jobs, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Something amazing is happening in data management. Even though storage needs are constantly changing, companies are only paying for what they need now. That's because CDW customized a Pure Storage Evergreen One SLA-driven storage as a service solution that delivers enterprise-grade hybrid cloud storage that is effortless, efficient, and ever-growing.
I know it's not spring yet, but it's close, and right now, it's the perfect time to start thinking and planning for your backyard entertainment. Just so happens Family Leisure is thinking that way too, with their preseason pool and patio sale. Get 2024 pricing on all above-ground pools and patio furniture. Also, secure your spot for pool installation. That way, you can go ahead and start making plans. Lots of new inventory is en route, so in-stock patio furniture is up to 70% off. You want a play gym, a trampoline, how about an outdoor kitchen to go along with that new pool? They're all on sale too. You can get spas up to $3,000 off and save even more by mentioning this ad. You do that, you'll get a $250 gift card with a pool, spa, or patio furniture purchase. Winter won't last forever. The spring will be here soon, so get ready with the preseason pool and patio sale at Family Leisure, Whit Road off I-40, where family and fun all come together.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. MPD's out with a couple of minor accidents. A little bit more volume over here in the last few minutes. 240 east and westbound near Poplar Walnut Grove. It continues to build with more volume down I-40 westbound from Germantown Parkway all the way down to Sycamore View Road. Still a little bit of traffic volume coming off that ramp there from Austin P onto I-40. If your lawn needs help this time of the year, you need Lawn Solutions. With over 30 years experience, call Lawn Solutions today at area code 901-867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Diamonds are forever. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:27 the time. It is Wednesday. It's time for Jerry Palm.
It's time for Sports 56 Mornings Weekly Chat with Jerry Palm, college football and basketball writer and bracketologist for CBSSports.com. Here are Greg, Eli, and Jerry.
He is Jerry Palm. He may not be the savior of the universe, but he's close. He's up there. He is Jerry Palm. CBSSports.com. His latest bracketology came out on Monday. You can follow him on Twitter at JPPalmCBS. What's up, JP?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. I wanted to ask you about something that I had never heard of, quite honestly, until a couple days ago. Somebody tweeted this out. Maybe you're familiar with this Evan Mayakawa. EvanMaya.com.
I know Evan. Sure.
Yeah, EvanMaya.com, and I haven't looked at all the numbers. Maybe you know it more, Eli. But this dude is really, he's very high on Memphis compared to what a lot of people are, what the net would say, which, by the way, Memphis dropped another spot last night from 47 to 48. But the quote was, based on what Memphis has done against their schedule, they deserve to be more in the 5 seed range and not the 7-8 range, or the 5-6 seed range and not the 7-8. And you got them right there at number 6. But there are people that have them 7. There are people that have them 8 right now. So
that's because of their net and predictive metrics. Because I've talked a lot about Gonzaga. Gonzaga is now, after last night, a top 10 team in the predictive metrics. The net, Ken Palm, Torvik, and in the mid-40s in the one that measures resumes, which is crazy.
Wow.
But when you look at their best wins, Baylor, a 9 seed in my bracket that lost last night. San Diego State, a 10 seed in my bracket. Indiana, last 4 in. Those are their best wins. The win last night, also a quad 1 win, but against a team that's not, tournament quality. Not far off. Santa Clara is not far off, but not what you'd call a bubble team either. So, and of course, Santa Clara beat them at home this year. But Gonzaga's the number 2 team in the country in average scoring margin, and that has so much influence on the predictive metric.
Right.
Whereas the ones that measure resumes doesn't count scoring margin at all, and they're in the mid-40s of that, and that's really closer to what their resume is. Memphis is the complete opposite. Gonzaga is like the biggest disparity between rankings in those two categories I've ever seen, and Memphis is pretty close. They're like in the high teens of the resume metrics, and in the 40s, the high 40s of the net and the predictive metrics. So it's they're just completely opposite. I will bet you anything Memphis is underseeded because they don't do well enough in the metrics. And what you're talking about is underseeding Memphis. And now it's not like their resume is flawless because they have a couple quad 3 losses, or 3, which is a problem. And if they're seeded down in that 7-8 range, well, first of all, I don't want to be the 2 that has to play Memphis. But it's I don't think it would be fair to Memphis for them to be that low if they win the rest of their games. If you take another loss, that's different. But, if Memphis wins the league, and they're still a 7, I think that would be uncharitable.
Yeah, I think you're right on, and it's not because I cover the team and call some of their games. I think they could very well be underseeded. Now,
it's because of the metric. That's the only reason.
But my question to you is, and we just saw a couple weekends ago, whenever it was, that the selection committee had put out their top 16.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can gauge from just the first 4 seed lines, 16 total teams. And I know you've had conversations in the past with committee members and things of that nature, and you've given us your opinion about things. But is there a way to kind of gauge on whether or not they're leaning more toward the metrics part of things or the resume part of things?
So they always lean more toward the resume part of things, but they don't ignore the metric. In fact, they talked about, this might not have been on camera, in some of the closer decisions that the metrics came into play. So they do look at them. What they don't see is the disparity in metrics very often that Gonzaga and Memphis both have in opposite ways. Those are pretty unique situations where someone is just really good in one set of metrics and not nearly as good in the other. And that's, I can't think of a time. I mean, we've only been using metrics since, they've been on the team sheets for about 10 years, but at the beginning of that, they were really more curiosity than important. I remember the year that Greg Marshall was coach at Wichita State, and I had him as a 10 seed, and Ken Pom had him as number 8. Mm-hmm. I said that, if they don't win their conference, they may not make it. And they did win their conference, so of course they made it, but they were a 10 seed. But 8 in the top 10 of Ken Pom and a 10 seed. So I don't know that. But Gonzaga, though, is that team this year. They're a top 10 team in the metrics, and they look a lot more like a 10 seed. I don't think it'll be that low unless they lose again, but to someone besides St. Mary's. But it's that's the kind of a thing. It's like Gonzaga's seed should not get anywhere near its predictive metrics.
You in your latest bracket, you had still 3 SEC teams on the one line. Florida's loss last night. Will that bump them off of that, you think?
Probably. There are more games before I do another bracket today and tomorrow, so a lot can happen between now and then. But my expectation is that Florida won't be there. It would be either Tennessee or Houston. I've got Tennessee next in line. I don't know if they played yet. They haven't played yet this week, have they?
Yeah, they played last night. They beat LSU last night.
Oh, that's right, they did. So it's probably them. And then Houston's right there too. Florida probably ends up behind at least both of them. I haven't really evaluated it all because I don't have to yet. But yeah, I don't think Florida will be up there again, and it could be still 3 SEC teams.
But Tennessee only won by 6 on the road at LSU. Shouldn't they drop 10 spots in the net?
They may have. I don't know. I didn't look.
The
we're almost 30 games into the season, so each game has less of an impact on the metrics.
Exactly. It should anyway.
By the way, Duke jumped up to number 1.
Yes,
in the net.
I have no problem with that.
With Houston, and again, you had them at what 6 overall?
Yeah,
I guess in your thing. What is and I shouldn't say I don't holding them back, but what is holding them back? I guess from being a number 1 right now.
They didn't play a good enough non-conference schedule, so they don't have the depth of quality wins that the other teams have. But they're picking them up as they go through conference play. But it was a while before they had, even a higher quality win. So, or two. That's all. They had to get into conference play before they could really build up their resume.
Yeah, because Auburn and Alabama they played, but they lost to both of them. So yeah.
Yeah.
How many teams now legitimately have a shot at a 1 seed?
Oh, I would say at least 7.
So the 4 you have in there right now is Duke, Florida, Auburn, Alabama. Then you go Tennessee, Houston.
I wouldn't rule out, somebody like A&M or Michigan State, but they'll need help. They'll need help in front of them. Auburn and Duke are pretty much deadlocks for 1 seed.
I would say so, yeah.
Barring just major upsets. So the spots that are up for grabs, you've got Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, Houston, and I would say Michigan State. But Michigan State's margin for error in that chase, there's a 5th team in that chase.
Well, yeah, see, a team like A&M, if you go to the SEC tournament and you make a run, you're picking up probably a good,
if A&M won the SEC,
wins.
If A&M won the SEC tournament, they would definitely be part of that conference.
Yeah, because you're picking up at 2 to 3 really good wins along the way in order to win that tournament. Speaking of the SEC, last night Georgia gets the big win. They were one of your first 4 out. Texas and Arkansas play tonight. Arkansas was in your last 4 in. Texas is in your first 4 out, that's a huge bubble game. But how does that Georgia win? You think is that enough to kind of get them back into the field?
Well, it would only be temporary because Georgia needs both quality wins and quantity wins. So they're now 2 games below 500 after that win against the top 3 quadrants, which is not great. But for an SEC team this year, like I said, only one team's ever done it, got a large bid, with 2 games below against that group of teams. I could see an SEC team getting one this year, or maybe even 2. If there are that many. And Georgia could be one of them, but they've got 3 games still to play. They're not done playing. So, and they are where they are because of just sort of inconsistency. So I'm not, but yeah, the bracket on Friday, Georgia might be in it, maybe. But there's still a lot of teams to play.
Mm-hmm.
St. Mary's we mentioned Gonzaga earlier. St. Mary's beat Gonzaga twice this year?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And maybe have a third
I think that's
chance.
back-to-back years, actually, for that.
Is it really?
Well, it's back-to-back conference regular season titles for St. Mary's.
Okay, and St. Mary's and Gonzaga, who knows? Maybe they'll meet again in the Mountain West
They could.
or the
West Coast.
Yeah, West Coast Conference championship game. Right now, and we just talked about the net and things like that. Gonzaga, which it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but right now you got them as a 9. St. Mary's as an 8, as an 8 seed. You got them in there in your latest bracketology. St. Mary's, why are they so close to Gonzaga? It seems like they've had a much, much better season and beat them head to head, that they should be a higher seed or Gonzaga lower. Why are they so close?
Well, I guess that's a good question. Perhaps I will find an answer for you here. St. Mary's, other than sweeping Gonzaga, the only other team in the bracket they've beaten and in the bracket for now is Nebraska. So
okay.
That's basically 2 9 seeds and I think a 10. So the quality of their wins aren't any better than they just have fewer losses. But even the losses, none of those teams are in the bracket. Now they're not horrible. There's a couple quad ones and a couple quad twos. Actually, Utah State is in the bracket. The other three are not. So the strength of schedule kind of holds them back. They didn't even play some of the quality teams that Gonzaga played. But they should be ahead of them. They definitely belong ahead of them. But this isn't a top 25 team, and number 25 is a 7.
Kansas has Texas Tech, Houston, and Arizona as their last 3 games. Now, they do get 2 of them at home. But if they were to lose all 3 of those, how far can Kansas slip?
Well, I mean, there's still a conference tournament, but those losses don't hurt you as much because those are really good teams. But, Kansas has, they've just had a weird season. But they'd be, 19-12 if they do that. They'd be, 4-10 in quad 1 games. If they lose all 3 of them, you're looking at kind of the middle of the bracket at that point. You're definitely not a top 25 team. Now I don't know. They might be ahead of St. Mary's and Gonzaga just because of the strength of their schedule, and the fact that they beat Duke and Iowa State and Michigan State, which are all higher teams. Although Iowa State, man, what happened last night? But Kansas is probably a 7 or an 8. And of course, depending on what they do in the conference tournament, and as always, what other teams do.
Yeah, their win over Duke is just now looks completely strange. It's like, how in the world did they beat Duke?
Yeah, well, it's because they have players. It's not like there's no talent on Kansas. I don't know if they have chemistry, but they've got players. Talent's never the problem at Kansas.
I think Self is ready to call it a career. I really think he's starting to get into that mix, that Jay Wright mix and things where, it's too complicated now. There's too much crap going on.
Well, I don't know. Maybe. It's not like, he hasn't had a long, storied Hall of Fame career,
Right. He's been there.
And he might not be a guy that wants to coach into his 70s like, Patino, for example.
Yes, but I think the other thing is, too, that he's always been able to get the players. They've been always able to spend the money, whatever it was.
Yep.
And now there's a lot of those schools that can do it above board, and there's more competition. There's more fighting to get a certain player through the portal with the NIL. I don't know the guy from Adam. I'm getting it. Like, I'm looking at his body language, his facial expression. It just doesn't seem like he's into it as much as he's always been. That's just
according to
my
him, he's not going anywhere. He said no, and he's got the one kid coming in next year who's like number 1 or number 2 in the nation.
Yeah, he may not be, but that's just my feeling that in a couple years he's done. I can't imagine this. I thought Cal was going to call it a career a couple years ago, and now he's at a new place and. Some of these guys are lifers. Patino coming back, doing what he's doing at St. John's. But other guys, they got out. And you have these older coaches now that are kind of being pushed out the door, whether it be Woodson or Larinaga, a couple of those guys like that. As far as non-power conferences, and I include the Big East as a power conference in basketball, who's got multiple bids, in your opinion, coming? Other than the WCC you mentioned, unless Gonzaga loses a couple more, they got multiple teams. Who else has multiple teams?
Mountain West.
Mountain West has multiple. How many?
They've got, San Diego State's pretty squarely on the bubble. They beat New Mexico last night, which was big for them. Utah State, is one of those 3 is going to win the league. But then one or both of the others are probable at-large teams as well, as long as they don't do something stupid between now and then.
Who's the other? Boise?
Boise's 4th. So it's New Mexico, Utah State, San Diego State. I have Boise, I think, in my first 4 out. But, they probably need to do something. Their schedule's not going to give it to them this last week or so. So they'll probably have to do something in the conference tournament, maybe even win it. But if they win it, they might knock out one of their conference mates.
So it looks like 3 more than likely, possibly 4 from the Mountain West.
Yeah, also possibly 2.
Possibly 2. But multiple teams.
Yeah, so that league will have multiple teams. And the West Coast will have multiple teams. Obviously, the American only gets multiple teams if Memphis gets upset in the conference tournament. I don't think the A-10 is getting more than one. BCU's got some decent metrics, but no wins of good enough quality. Their best wins at Dayton and the win over George Mason the other day. And those, they're just not tournament teams.
Right.
And, I kind of hope VCU makes it because I think they can do something when they get there. They're not a fun team to play. But it's they're probably going to have to win their way in.
Friday is the next updated bracketology?
Yes.
Check it out at cbssports.com. He is the one and only Jerry Palm. You can follow him on Twitter at JPPalmCBS. He joins us each and every Wednesday during both the college basketball and college football seasons. Thank you, JP. Have a great week.
Thanks. You too.
All right. He's higher on Memphis than some other people are, and he understands the difference between the resume and the metrics. The new Silverado deal of the year is happening at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, maybe the deal of the decade. It's 2.9 plus no payments for 90 days. Financing down to 2.9 and no payments for 3 months. Finance your new Blazer at 1.9, no payments for 90 days. It's still Love Month, just for a few days, but it is still February, so come get a new Silverado or a Blazer. You'll love no payments till May because your good credit deserves it. If you're in law enforcement, first responder, healthcare, military, you're a teacher, a recent graduate, you get an extra $500 bonus. If you're looking for a certified Silverado, Tahoe, or Suburban, they're all at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. Every pre-owned you want, Fords, Hondas, Hyundais, dozens of Silverados, they're all there. If you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch and get the most money back for it today. Check out all these great rides online at allstarautogroup.com. Together, let's drive. Let's drive down to Olive Branch and All-Star Chevrolet. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
I'm so excited.
I had a feeling you'd be excited.
That doesn't even begin to describe how I feel about the new Central Barbecue location on Central.
Well, technically, it's the same location.
Same location, but a very different Central Barbecue on Central.
I get what you're saying, but I don't want to confuse people. The new Central Barbecue location on Central is the same place as the old Central Barbecue on Central.
But it's so much more. It's big, for one thing.
It is a whole lot bigger. Well, I think it has to be.
Because everybody in Memphis is going to be flocking to the new Central Barbecue location on Central.
Where the old Central Barbecue on Central used to be.
Details.
Dell Technologies is celebrating with anniversary savings on the most popular tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 16, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
You know, sometimes I wish I had a gun.
Well, I'm armed, but before I bought one, I still went to Top Gun Academy to learn to protect myself without a gun.
How is that possible?
Top Gun's personal protection training. It's perfect if you want to protect yourself without firearms.
I don't know.
And it's perfect if you feel the need to carry a gun for self-defense, because the last thing you really want to do is shoot.
That is scary.
Not at Top Gun. It's very comfortable, and you learn to load, handle, and shoot a handgun safely. Protect yourself. Go to Top Gun Academy. They're at 2770 Winton Road.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Don't you just love it?
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:49 the time. Final segment here in hour number 2. Coming up in hour number 3, Parth Upadhyay will join us at 9:25 to talk Memphis Tigers basketball. We'll dive into that as well at 9:05. Open up the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines to you at 901-360-8255 if you'd like to call in during that segment. Again, DeMichael Cole normally joins us on Wednesday at 9:05. Unable to be with us today. We've rescheduled him for tomorrow on the program. So we were talking a little bit earlier before we were joined by Jerry about some of the results from last night. We went over some of those SEC games. Nationally, I mentioned Duke blowing out Miami. Marquette beat Providence by 30. They are 21st ranked in the nation. But a couple of upsets, including Iowa State losing at Oklahoma State 74-68. I don't know about this Iowa State team. They're good, but they're almost a little bit Jekyll-ish and Hyde-ish, if you will, like I mentioned with Mississippi State.
Yeah, I believe they had one of the two injured guys, or two leading scorers, who missed the game over the weekend against Houston. I believe one of them was back. They're still without one of those. But that's a bad loss. I mean, Oklahoma State is not good at all. I don't believe their fans were patient and waited to storm the court. I think they stormed immediately, but I'm not sure on that. But yeah, Iowa State. That's even without one of your leading scorers. That's just a bad loss.
Yeah, so they lose, and it was a road game. I understand that, to Oklahoma State, which is purely average this year. They lose by 6. They drop 2 spots in the net. They go down from 8 to 10. Again, Memphis drops a spot last night. It looks like the team that jumped them was West Virginia, because Memphis was 47th and West Virginia was 48th. Now West Virginia goes from 48 to 45 after they knocked off who last night? West Virginia beat TCU. Again, TCU average at best. So Memphis drops from 47 to 48 in the net. West Virginia moves up from 48 to 45. Yeah, I have a problem with using Gonzaga as an example, some other schools as perfect examples of net versus resume. Gonzaga moved up 2 spots. Gonzaga's number 8 in the net. This is not your mother's Gonzaga. This is a team that's okay, but nothing to write home about. Duke's number 1, as Jerry mentioned, moving up from 2 to 1. I have no issues with that. Duke beat Auburn. Although at Duke, they beat Auburn. I still think right now, in a best of 3, I would take Auburn. Single game. Obviously, Duke's really, really good. They're blowing out teams. They're absolutely destroying teams. But to me, those two, head and shoulders above everybody else. Then Houston's 3 in the net, and I don't have a problem with Houston being 3. I mean, we've seen Florida. I talked about Florida, I think it was yesterday, that wasn't it yesterday, Elijah? I was talking about them, the game against Tennessee. Tennessee was missing their key players. Florida laid an egg, and then they turn around, and last night they lose at Georgia. So again, to me, they're like teetering on that 1. I don't even know if they're a top seed team. Tennessee's 5. And again, not an explosive performance, but they did a great job defensively. They held a team to 59 points and won on the road. Then Alabama, then Texas Tech, Gonzaga, again, that's crazy. Arizona and Iowa State, your top 10 in the net. I don't know. Look, we would complain, and I would complain, certainly, if it was just all eyes and resumes. Sometimes you need numbers to back you up, but then sometimes you get a little too bogged down in the numbers because you could make those numbers look any way favorable or the opposite for a particular team when you throw in margin of victory, which they do now with the net as opposed to Ken Palm. But this Evan Miyakawa, evanmaya.com, I haven't really dove into it. I asked you, you know of this, right? Okay, no. You don't know of this. When Parth joins us, I want to ask him about that because Parth did a deep dive into this about Evan Miyakawa, and I don't know if he had a chance to talk to him, But this guy is much more favorable of what Memphis did. And to me, all it takes is common sense. Yes, Memphis has 2 quad 3 losses. But, like, for example, VCU is well above Memphis in the net. They have 10 quad 4 wins. You're playing all those quad 4 teams. That's ridiculous. And they don't have the quality of wins that Memphis has. Memphis has knocked off, in Jerry's latest bracketology, if I could pull this darn thing up again. I don't know if you have it up. They've beaten Michigan State to 2, I think, right now for Jerry. They've beaten Missouri, which is a 4. I'm doing this by memory. Clemson, I think, is a 5. Ole Miss is a 6. Now, Jerry has Memphis as a 6. But that's some impressive wins against teams that are either on the same seed line or above or projected seed line. VCU doesn't have those type of wins. Gonzaga doesn't have those type of wins. But that's the net. And that's why it bothers me, because we don't really know. And they never tell you. Bubba Cunningham's not going to say, here's the criteria. First, the most important thing is this, then that, then that. He's going to say, we take everything into consideration. We take resume, last 10 games, injuries we take into consideration. All right, you want to take into consideration injuries. Again, this may be minute, but Temple has been a lot worse than when they beat Memphis since Jamal Mashburn went out with an injury. Do you think that they are looking at all that when they get behind closed doors? Like, they're looking at 300 and something teams, and that this team missed a player when they played that team, and so it affected them. No, they're looking at the few at the top that has a key injury. Like Janai Broome, if he was out for a while, that would have been very important, the way they would look at Auburn if Auburn had lost a few, but they got Broome back.
I don't believe they care about Jamal Mashburn, because Temple was bad with him and they're bad without him. So there it is. But
they're worse now, I don't
know. They lost to LaSalle with him. They lost they were bad with him, so they don't care. Like they're bad with him, bad without him. They're just a bad team.
Yeah, but you can't just do a broad brush on some of these teams.
You can when the results tell you there is.
Yeah, but
just tell you they're bad.
There are circumstances to everything. There are circumstances to every single game.
Well, yeah, yes. I mean, again,
there's no way they can cover all that.
Again, they don't need to worry about Temples. Like they're just a bad team.
But Temple affects Memphis, and Memphis is in there. That's why I'm saying I bet you there's just more emphasis put on the net than anything.
I mean, they lost to Rhode Island. They lost to LaSalle. They lost to East Carolina, all with him. So who cares? Like they're bad with him, they're bad without him. It doesn't matter. And you go on this thing like you don't have any idea that you keep saying. I bet they're going to consider the net more than anything.
It's my opinion.
Well, but you don't know that, so you're angry with them over something you have no idea.
Oh, no.
Because they haven't even seeded the tournament yet.
I'm not necessarily
and
angry
you're arguing with
them
a computer, by the way, on the net.
I understand, but again, I don't like the data that's being put in the computer. I think margin of victory is stupid. It's been emphasized, especially in the.
Something tells me that if Memphis won every game by 30 and was really high, you'd be fine with it.
No. Let's settle down here for a second. I know we're out of time here. All right, I try to be as honest and open as I can. And if there's a time that I have to rip apart Memphis, I rip apart Memphis. I've gotten in trouble for ripping apart Memphis. This is a team that even Jerry Palm just admitted will probably be underseeded. Would you agree right now? If the committee had to announce their field today, the season ended, they had to announce their field today, that if Memphis was seeded 7th, 8th, 9th, they would be underseeded. Would you admit that?
8th, 9th, I think would be. 7th, I don't know. I'd have to look. I mean, again, I'd have to look at who the 6s are and compare.
I think they're absolutely underseeded if they're a 7th. I think the worst right now they should be is a 6, and that's where Jerry has them. I don't think they should be much higher, but you still can make the argument for a 5, but I think it's more a 6 because of the teams they play. What sucks is that you are penalized more for the loss than you're rewarded for the big win. And those wins came so early in the year that it's almost like they forget that they happened. All right, We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll continue talking college basketball. We'll get back into the Grizzlies and that unbelievable game from last night over the Suns in overtime. They win 151-148. And then at 9:25, it's Parth Upadhyay. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Designed to maximize your workouts and minimize your time. An exercise coach gives you personal workouts back with one-on-one with a trainer. Check out an exercise coach at exercisecoach.com/Lakeland or exercisecoach.com/Lakeland. Sign up for your age, injury, or knowledge.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about everything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its community and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Bobby J says get to the Gossett Kia President's Day sales event today at Gossett Kia on the Pike. You'll find 2025 Kia K4 LXS for less than $5 a day at $159 a month with class-leading torque and fuel efficiency. 2025 Kia Telluride S with more power, larger cargo bed area, and more ground clearance than Nissan Pathfinder $398 a month. 2025 Sportage EX, better overall consumer rating than Toyota RAV4, longer warranty for Evans.com at $279 a month. All with $49.99 due at signing. Plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Call Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike. Go online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Excess mileage, K4, SEO 233118, MSRP 25320, Telluride SG596 MSRP 41060, Sportage S719 2005, MSRP 30660, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through KFA, excludes top final license 895 PF with approved credit, dealer stock only, CD for complete details. Offer valid through 3/2/2025.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a Mother Pheasant Plucker, I pluck Mother Pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Five-Ash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Attention homeowners, it's time to score big with Choate's air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and generators. For the first 50 callers who purchase a new carrier system, generator, or tankless water heater, choose between 60 months of no interest financing or free air duct cleaning, a $500 value. Plus, don't miss our $39 February deals. Choose from a furnace tune-up, a sewer inspection, or an electrical panel inspection. It's the perfect way to prepare your home for the season. But hurry, this winning deal ends February 28th. Don't fumble this opportunity to claim these amazing offers. Call Choates today at 347-8086. And remember, Choates, let our family serve your family.
Every Sunday morning at 11 to join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship.
This traffic report on Sports 56 is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South Pella Windows. The Standard is affordable luxury.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. We got all this traffic now arriving in the Midtown area, right on schedule 240 north up by Lamar as you work your way up past Norris. Coming up from the south, hadn't been too bad. Now there is still some volume on 55 going northbound out of DeSoto County up through South Haven, passing State Line Road. Weimer's Jewelry, serving the Memphis area for well over 40 years. Shop local, you'll save a whole lot of money at Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:05 the time. Our final hour today here on Sports 56 Mornings. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers with you from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40. Currently 58 degrees. It's going to get up to 75 today, mostly sunny. A little bit of clouds later in the day, then overcast tonight with a 50-degree low, so that's not too bad. 15% chance of precip. So not a high percentage. Then tomorrow, sunny and 67. Friday, sunny and 72. The weekend looks terrific as well before there's the next chance for some precip early next week. Hour 3 of the program is brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More. I'm heading down there today to see Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins. Just great people, and they have a great company. Jenkins Floors and More, located at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake. As I always say, it's a short trip from anywhere in the metropolitan Memphis area. They also have stores in Cleveland, Mississippi, and in Little Rock, Arkansas. They specialize in flooring and carpeting. If it's variety you're looking for, boy, do they have it. Huge warehouse, ceramic and porcelain tiles of all types, hardwood by Portercraft, carpeting from Southern Luxury Carpet. They have the backsplashes for your kitchens and bathrooms, the plantation shutters and blinds, and so much more. They sell it wholesale, skip the middleman, and save you lots of money in the process. And if you need them to do the job for you, not only will they come out to you wherever you are, give you a free estimate, bring you samples, show you what it will look like. They'll get the job done in less than 2 weeks. 2 weeks is what they say. 2 weeks or less, they'll get the job done. You can't ask for anything more. That's Jenkins Floors and More. Give them a call at 662-469-9350. Tell them Gaston sent you and ask about your Sports 56 family discount, or go see them in person. 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake. It's Jenkins Floors and More. We were talking earlier about Luka Doncic and the Lakers last night knocking off Dallas in Doncic's first game against his former team. I neglected to mention a couple of things that also happened. AD, while not playing, was with the team, and they had the video tribute to Anthony Davis, and well-deserved. And then you also had, I didn't know about this, the Lakers chant of "Thank you, Nico." So I'm assuming Nico was there. He was there? Mm-hmm. And the old "Thank you, Nico" chant. Nico, boy, that's got to be rough, because you make this trade. It could still work out. I mean, it still could be, he could win the trade. We all don't think he will. I mean, most of us don't. But he could. And so while you're waiting and waiting and waiting and knowing it's going to take a long time before you can say, if it does ever, told you so, I was right, you got to sit there and bite your upper lip. I couldn't do that. That's rough. The abuse he's taken from his home fans, let alone the chant in Los Angeles and other things.
Well, the problem, the problem is that the trade was done from their side more on the immediate future, right? And Anthony Davis is hurt. I mean, that's the thing. That's the problem. He doesn't have a long time to wait. He got rid of the younger guy. He got rid of all that stuff. He's doing it for the immediate, and the guy he got hurt immediately. So
good point.
It's it's for him. There's nothing you can say right now, other than, well, we got an injured guy. They need Anthony Davis to get healthy and come back and be good this year or next year. Otherwise, there's no doubt in the long term that they gave up the better player. It's just they need immediate results, and you can't get it when the guy's hurt.
Yeah, and that's a great point, right? You expect it to have a healthy Anthony Davis because he has been relatively healthy the last few years, but he does have a history of injury. And you traded Luka, who at the time was hurt, and now he's back, although not 100%. And then the whole whether he was in shape or not in shape, and like I said, I don't care if the guy was 350, man. He's bringing you to the NBA Finals, for goodness sakes, and you dealt the dude away. But you're right. The proof would have to be on the pudding immediately, like this year. And I just don't know if Dallas, even with a healthy Anthony Davis, will go as far as they did last year. And that will really look bad on Nico Harrison if it doesn't already, because you got a guy in a trade that got hurt in his first game. For those who are just tuning in, we talked early in the show a lot about last night's dramatic, exciting game between the Grizzlies and the Suns. And if you'd like to comment on it, Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines are open to you at 901-360-8255. You can call in or text in. Grizzlies winning in overtime 151-148. Just a classic game. Highest scoring game in the NBA this season. First overtime game for the Grizzlies this year, which stunned me when I heard Pete Pranica say that. And then, of course, we have the heroics of Ja Morant, yet we also had the bad of Ja Morant as he played horribly for the most part early on, couldn't buy a shot, doing what he's done a lot of lately, arguing with officials and not getting back on defense, and that's driving a lot of people crazy. And then coming through big time with clutch shots, with clutch free throws, with clutch passes. Again, he's got to settle down a little bit on that three-point shooting. Took a couple of bad ones in overtime, but they were able to get that win. And look, the ball bounced their way. They had the tip-in, Brandon Clark's tip-in, which was incredible. Jalen Wells had some big-time shots, a huge three, another shot inside. And then you had to have the fortune also of the Suns discombobulating, missing a couple of key free throws. Bol missed the front end of two free throws. So did Grayson Allen. And the Grizzlies end up getting a W because that would have been a bad loss. This is a Suns team that's talented, but just not together. And you're playing them at home, starting a long homestand. That would not have been good if the result was an L.
Yeah, I mean, again, in some ways you stole one. There were many times where it looked like they were done, but they found a way. The three that Ja hit at the end of regulation, to get them to the position where he could then tie it with the other shot. Absolutely amazing three. I mean, especially considering that the 11 he missed were all pretty much feet set, good looks, and then the one he makes is off balance, fading to his left, throwing it up there, and it goes in. But to beat a team that shoots 56% from three-point range and makes 21 of them, has five guys over 20 points. Booker was good, Beal was good, Durant was good. I mean, usually if the three-headed monster for them all three have a good night, generally they're going to be tough to beat, except for the fact that they just cannot guard. They're awful defensively. Jaren took advantage of that early in the game, and for the most part when he was out there, But yeah, I mean, you look at Jalen Wells with the 5 threes, Santi Aldama with 5 threes off the bench, Brandon Clark with what he did off the bench. Because I thought Vince Williams was bad last night. Gigi ran around like I don't know what he was doing when he was in there. He had the one stupid offensive goaltending call for no reason. But, the Wells and Aldama both were fantastic last night shooting the basketball on a night when, again, Ja struggled. Overall, the team still was very good at 41% from three-point range.
Yeah, look, you mentioned Vince Williams, and he's trying to get acclimated. He's still in a minutes restriction. Gigi hasn't been back that long. But what we're seeing from those guys is inconsistency. Some games they're really contributing, other games they're not. And we keep, for some reason, pushing Jalen Wells out like he won't be the finisher in the playoffs, and we've had recent games where he wasn't in there at the end. But he keeps doing things that you scratch your head and go, well, maybe he should be in there. And last night was a perfect example. Ja gave him that great pass, which really sealed the deal. Wells hit that big three, had another great shot inside that he banked. But going back to the third quarter, that alley-oop pass he made to Ja Morant, that no-look when he was dribbling across the lane, was fabulous. These are things that second-round rookies aren't supposed to do, and he's consistently done it. I mean, he'll have an off game or two, don't get me wrong, but he's been pretty darn consistent. By the way, Ja, I don't know how he didn't hit his head on the rim.
Yeah, it's a problem I used to have when I was a kid, and it's you just gotta understand it. When you're up there a lot, you figure out how to do it.
And then they took away the ladder.
It was weird the way he jumped. Almost looked like, I don't know, it looked like he was kind of done going up, and then all of a sudden he went up high.
That's what I mean.
I don't know.
Hovers.
He had it felt like he hit something in the air to boost himself higher. I'm like, I don't know.
Gadget.
It was weird. I was like, it just the way it looked, it almost accelerated again into the air after he was already in the air. I don't know, but he was up there on that one. Now, gosh almighty.
We were talking about the threes and Ja going 1 for 12, and he missed his first 9, then hit that off-balance one, which was huge. Taylor Jenkins, after the game, talking about Ja and Ja Morant's resiliency late in that game and his confidence to take 12 threes. This is Taylor. Even though they weren't falling, he was taking them with confidence. They just weren't falling. I'm just so proud of him. He's just a confident guy. Again, we had the one texter talk about Taylor Jenkins isn't going to turn around in the locker room and go to Ja, hey buddy, you got to stop taking the threes. But he shoots 31% from 3. So it's not always advantageous. Remember, this is a game where Phoenix discombobulated. They missed free throws. They should have won the game. But there was the resiliency. I do agree with that in using that terminology. But, yeah, you should be proud of him because he put the team on his shoulders, especially when Tripp fouled out, and helped them win a game. And that's what a superstar should be doing all the time. So it doesn't surprise anybody that he did that last night. But he hasn't done a lot of it. And he has to get back to doing it because for the Grizzlies to make a run, absolutely, Kendrick Perkins is right, 1,000 times right, that he has to be the best player. And last night, he wasn't for 3 quarters, but then he was in the fourth and in overtime. In crunch time, as people like to say, when the game was on the line, he came through, despite, again, some of those threes. And, again, people are getting mad that I'm saying that he shouldn't be taking 12 threes. I don't care if it's in the flow of the offense. I don't care that Taylor says, they just weren't falling. He shoots 31% from 3. Don't take as many threes. That's less chances you have to score inside or to go to the free throw line where you were brilliant, 14 of 14.
Yeah, 12 threes is, in my opinion, too many for him. I have no problem with him shooting threes. But, again, it is what they do, and it's what they do as an offense and what they want to do. As long as they're playing fast, that's the key. Some people don't want him going to the basket as much because they're afraid he's going to get hurt. So it's like
that's a whole other issue.
You'll figure out damned if you do, damned if you don't. But certainly a game that it's huge that they found a way to win it because Phoenix is bad right now, and you're going to get them again in a couple of weeks. But to start this stretch, 5-game homestand, 9 out of 11 at home, you certainly wouldn't have wanted to start that with a bad loss because you've got some good teams coming in here. You've got the Knicks coming up on Friday. You've got Oklahoma City coming in next week. So you've got some really good teams coming in. You want to make sure you take advantage of the teams you should beat, and certainly Phoenix right now is one of those teams, despite what they did last night. The defensive effort for the Grizzlies has to get a lot better because they gave up way too many open looks last night. Phoenix kind of did whatever they wanted to do offensively for a large portion of the game. The offense bailed you out. That's the good thing about having the high-powered offense. The offense bailed you out last night, but you got to be better than that defensively.
So I'm just adding up here. 10, 11. Okay. Of the current players, this does not include LaRavia and Marcus Smart, who both shot over 30% from three. Of the current players, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 players that shoot over 30% from three. None of those 13 is named Ja Morant. He's now under 30%. So again, you tell me. They're not going to put a stop sign and tell me he can't do it. And there are games when Ja's going to go 3 for 5 from three. And I don't care about a concern of him getting hurt going to the hole. We're not talking about trying to dunk over Bol. We're talking about Ja getting it. Ja's a contortionist. He can score on anybody. He can split defenses better than just about everybody in the league. He gets to the free throw line. But a guy who's shooting under 30% from three shouldn't shoot 12. Again, it doesn't take friggin' Einstein to tell you that. 12 threes, 1 for 12 is not good. They won despite that because he was great in everything else, and he took over the game like stars do. So it was a good win. It would have been a really bad loss.
Texter says, let the others on the floor run the pick and roll. Edey needs to be in the paint, rebounding, scoring, altering shots. The game before Phoenix, he got 3 consecutive offensive boards, kicked back out for threes. They missed them all. When shooters shoot, players should go rebound, including Jackson. Well, and Edey last night in the first quarter had a couple of he had 3 or 4 offensive rebounds because he had a couple putbacks.
I thought
right
he was
away
playing
early
well
in that
early,
game.
yeah.
He sort of it's it's not a great matchup for him necessarily with Phoenix because they don't have the big lumbering center out there. But he certainly did some good things, and he had 8 rebounds in 20 minutes last night. So once again he rebounded the basketball well. Again, he had a couple of those that he put back early on off of offensive rebounds. But then Brandon Clark came in, and Brandon was playing extremely well. So they rode with Brandon, down the stretch, and in overtime, Brandon ended up getting most of those minutes because he was playing very well. And again, with being a little bit smaller on the other side, Brandon was a bit of a better matchup too, I think.
Yeah, they started Nick Richards, and then he wasn't in there that long, so Memphis went different as well, and it worked out. Phoenix, again, how many guys had over 20?
5.
5 players had over 20 points, and they lost that game. All right.
Yeah, they're still hoping to make a run, so I'm sure Phoenix is wondering, how in the hell did we just lose that game?
Right.
That's why, you're trying to get into the play-in, they need every possible win they can get. They're thinking, we lost? How in the world did we lose that game?
Bol, I think Pete said 61% from the free throw line, something like that, somewhere in the low 60s. And I didn't understand. Bradley Beal was kind of sashaying up the court, and then he got double-teamed and got it to KD, and KD got rid of it really quick to Bol. And then they eventually fouled Bol, which was beneficial for Memphis as he missed that first of 2 and looked ugly in doing so, and then made the second. And then Grayson missed the first one of his 2, and I don't know his numbers. I imagine he shoots a lot better from the free throw line.
Bol was 5 for 6 at the free throw line.
No, but it was that free throw down the stretch. We were talking earlier in hour number 1 about if they kept it a 2-possession game, they weren't going to lose. They would have it up to 4, and then they'd miss, and then Memphis would come down and make a big shot, whether it was the Ja 3, whether it was the pass to the tip in, obviously, by Clark, which came out of nowhere. But Phoenix had their chances. And again, Bol at 61%, I'm sure, is a lot less than Beal, who's shooting 80-something%, and Durant and Allen. And then Allen misses one. There were critical missed free throws by Phoenix.
Allen missed 2 of them. I mean, he was the one that he was the only guy that missed 2 on their team.
Yeah, that's critical.
And
Ja's making all of his. That's why they won.
Dude didn't seem to miss a 3-pointer, but he did miss free throws, which was key. East Coast Wings and a Grill coming up. We're getting closer to spring, and that means they'll start doing some of their crawfish boils, and they got their first one of the year coming up on March 8th. So that's a week from Saturday, the first crawfish boil of the year at East Coast Wings and Grill. That'll be Saturday, March 8th from 3 until 7. They'll have the crawfish. They'll have live music. Charvy will be playing, so that's always a great thing as well. Again, mark it on the calendar, Saturday, March the 8th, 3 to 7, East Coast Wings and Grill for their first crawfish boil of the spring. Of course, anytime it's a good time to go by, watch games, enjoy some great food, daily lunch specials that you could take advantage of, happy hour Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30. You can take advantage of the specials there with 2 for 1 on the draft beers and other specials as well. And of course, anytime there's games on, they're going to be on there with plenty of TVs to watch all of the action at East Coast Wings and Grill, just off Highway 64 in Bartlett. They're in the Wolf Chase area, right between the Lowe's and Walmart off Highway 64, Kate Hyde Boulevard. It runs right between the two, and that's where you'll find East Coast Wings and Grill.
It's the Tigers and Rice tonight at FedEx Forum. We're talking Tigers hoops with Parthu Pajai. That's next. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Tiger Nation, Memphis men's basketball is back in action at FedEx Forum Wednesday, February 26th at 7 when the Tigers welcome the Rice House to the 901. It will be our Wear Black game, sponsored by Regional One Health, as fans are encouraged to show off their favorite Black Memphis gear. Tiger Nation will also be treated to a special halftime performance from Drummers Unlimited. It's time to stand up, Memphis, and cheer on your first place Tigers. Be sure to get your tickets now at GoTigersGo.com.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
To be invested with Betterment is to believe in better, whether it's saving for today or building wealth for tomorrow. We help people and small businesses put their money to work. We automate to make saving simpler. We optimize to make investing smarter. We build innovative technology backed by financial experts. For anyone who's ever said, I think I can do better. So be invested in better with Betterment. Get started at Betterment.com. Investing involves risk, performance not guaranteed.
Andy Wise here. I'm an actual customer of Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis in the Mid-South. I was so impressed, I endorsed Pella as the standard in affordable luxury. And now, Pella's even more affordable. 12 months, no interest, no payments, plus 50% off installation. Mention you heard this on the radio and get another $500 off. I'm telling you, as your consumer investigator, as their customer, make the wise choice of Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis in the Mid-South.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me early on, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and the staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:30 the time, our final hour here on Sports 56 Mornings, the Wednesday, February 26th, 2025 edition. It's time now to talk some Memphis Tigers basketball with Parthu Pajai.
It's time to talk Memphis Tigers basketball. Joining Greg and Eli is Parthu Pajai, the Tigers beat reporter for the Daily Memphian. Now here's Parthu with Greg and Eli.
He is Parthu Pajai. He joins us each and every Wednesday to talk Memphis Tigers basketball. You can follow him on Twitter. I'll spell it out for you, at PUPADHYAYA _. Does a great job for the Daily Memphian, covering the Tigers wall to wall. And he joins us now in studio. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are y'all?
I'm doing good. I was thinking about like trips, because it's been a wild season for you with trips.
Yeah.
And what do you got left? Well, you got Birmingham, which is not a bad
underrated
little town.
city, by the way.
It is, yeah. Not bad little city. That's a town.
Yeah, shout out
city.
Birmingham.
Then you'll go to San Antonio.
Look at you going underrated on Birmingham.
Underrated.
Then you'll go San Antonio.
Then San Antonio.
Okay. Then you'll go to Fort Worth.
Yes.
For the
after coming back home
tournament. Yeah. I'm not saying in order, but
no. But Birmingham and San Antonio, I'm just staying on the road for 6 days straight.
Are you really?
Yeah. So this is the fourth time this season where I've done the back-to-back cities. I did San Francisco and Maui. I did Philly and Charlotte. And then most recently, I did Tampa and Wichita. Because all these games have been clustered together.
Right.
And this one especially, I think it's like a 48-hour gap between UAB's tip-off on Sunday, and then Tuesday you've got UTSA in San Antonio.
San Antonio's slightly better than Birmingham.
Oh, I bet, yeah. No, I believe you.
Have you been to San Antonio?
I've been, but it's been a while. I was like a kid. I was probably 6-7 years old visiting family. Yeah,
I like San Antonio.
I was there. Yeah, I was there this past season for football, so it's always great, the Riverwalk and all that stuff. But then the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
have you started to scope out the regionals and what cities and all that? Have you? You have, haven't you?
I mean, I've been doing it for a while. I've been keeping up with obviously the bracketology stuff, and then looking at will it be Milwaukee or Seattle or Denver, or could we go to Raleigh? If we go to Raleigh, man, that's home. That'd be awesome.
Wichita, don't they have one as
Wichita,
well?
Yes, Wichita. That's
you don't want to go back to Wichita.
It's
That's
not
probably
ideal.
low on your list, right?
It's probably low on the priority list, but
You're not going to throw Wichita as an underrated city?
Maybe not. It's pretty cold out there, man. It's very, very cold in Wichita.
Lots
take
of
Raleigh.
cornfields, too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Take Raleigh out of the equation. Okay.
If we go to Raleigh, I'm sleeping in my bed, my childhood bed. I'm going to my parents' house. Yeah.
You get awesome. your NBA themed blanket and all that stuff. No, what would be preference number one? If you had your choice, where would you want to go?
Seattle. I think Seattle would be. I've never been to Seattle.
I've never been to Seattle.
I've never been to Seattle. I don't really necessarily have a great desire, but yeah, I would.
I don't think that would be the Daily Memphians' preference number one with the money they spent on travel this season. I think my editor's listening. He might not be.
$89.
The other options are what? Milwaukee, Wichita. What else did you say?
What else did I say? Denver.
Denver would be my first choice. I've never been
to Seattle.
I've been
to Denver. So
see, I've never spent any time in Denver. The only time I've been to Denver is in the airport. I've never actually spent any time in Denver, so Denver would be my first choice.
I spent a summer in Denver interning for the Denver Post.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, this is back in 2019. So I've had my Denver experience.
That makes sense.
I've done Denver, trust me.
Milwaukee, I've done a few games in Milwaukee. If you like beer, I don't know if you're a beer drinker. Milwaukee would be
no, that'd be cool.
It'd be a pretty cool place. All right, before we dive into this last stretch and all the analytics and things of that nature, which was just a fun topic with Jerry Palm here in our last hour, you've either written or tweeted about, I think, maybe correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
Dane Danger and eligibility.
Yeah.
What's the truth about it? Does Dane Danger have another year? Of course, doesn't guarantee he's back in Memphis. Doesn't guarantee he's back in college basketball.
Right.
But does he have another year or not?
As of now, he does not. Like if nothing happens, meaning he doesn't file a eligibility waiver, if they don't grant the waiver, if things stand pat as they are, he does not have another year of eligibility. That is my understanding after speaking to some folks yesterday. He you know where this stemmed from, right? You guys know where this came from? All this?
Not exactly, no.
Okay, so obviously when he got here, he had redshirted the first year at Baylor, right? Second year, he plays 3 games and then transfers mid-season to Illinois, then plays 2 full seasons at Illinois. So what do we got? We got 2 full seasons so far, and this is his 3rd full season of college basketball. So he's had 5 years in the sport, but he's only played 3 full seasons in those 5 years, right? So people thought he may have an extra year of eligibility. It was kind of a question mark. Nobody had a direct answer on that. And then Monday night, when he was a guest on the Penny Hardaway radio show, the weekly radio show at Brookhaven, at the end, Jeff Brightwell is, saying, "Oh, we're gonna miss you, man." Like, final stretch in the Tiger uniform, and everybody's cheering. Like, the whole crowd is literally the whole crowd's on their feet, applauding, whistling, clapping. And somewhere in all of that noise, he goes, "Oh, wait, guys, I got one more year." And nobody, or at least I didn't hear it live. Like, the other media folks who were there didn't hear it live. And when I was going back and listening, I'm like, "Wait, he said what?" And, I rewinded the tape, and I'm like, "Oh, crap." He just said that he has an extra year. And that's when I started poking around that night, talking to folks about, does he not? Why would he think he has an extra year if he doesn't? That kind of thing.
Yeah, why would, if he played, even though it was only 3 games or whatever, you played at Baylor that other year, why would he think that wouldn't count? Like, why would there be a possibility that wouldn't count?
Well, I think he's thinking because his freshman year was 2020, 2021, so that was the COVID year, right? That was the year that everybody got an extra,
right?
Like a freebie. Every athlete got an additional year.
Yeah, that would be your 5th year to play 4, right?
Well,
the COVID year?
COVID would make your clock be 6, right?
Yeah.
6 to play 5. Is that...
Then why wouldn't he have a year?
No, he doesn't have a year because he redshirted for reasons that had nothing to do with injury, right? He redshirted because he wasn't eligible to play that season as a freshman.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So what the NCAA is saying, hey, we're giving this waiver or this extra year to athletes who are active or eligible. He was neither one of those things that season. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly.
Therefore, he's not eligible
During COVID,
for that.
he redshirted.
Exactly.
That thing like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. I thought he was thinking because he only played 3 games the next year, that year didn't count.
But that is what he's thinking. So, so if and from my understanding, if he does indeed file a waiver, file an appeal, it would be for that season, saying, "Hey, I only played 3 games and then I didn't play at all." But what NCAA is going to say is what? Hey,
but it wasn't an injury.
It wasn't an injury. You weren't run off. There's no runoff waiver. You left by your own choice, just like Caleb Mills, right? He left Houston for Florida State midseason by his own choice, tried to appeal that season this past offseason. It didn't work, So kind of the same idea there where the NCAA can look at Danger and say, "Hey, man, that was your choice."
I mean, if you just because you played 3 games and
it's still
decided
worth
you want to
applying for, I think. I mean,
you might as well. You never know how the NCAA is going to rule.
Right.
All right, that's interesting. You've also written about this Evan Mayakawa.
Yeah, he does great work,
EvanMaya.com, who is a lot higher on Memphis than other people who do this stuff. He's not a bracketologist, but obviously is in the analytics and things of that nature.
Data scientist type guy, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, guys well above my head.
Mine too.
But he says that look at the resume, look at the teams they beat, look at the quality, even with the teams they lost to. They should be right there in the 5-6 range and not the 7-8 range. Well, we just had Jerry Palm on, who definitely has him as a 6, and I don't think he's even wavering toward a 7 or an 8 unless they lose another game. But we're assuming right now no loss where it is right now. There are some bracketologists who have him as low as an 8, which is just absolutely
it's kind of ridiculous,
crazy.
is it not? Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So what was your take? Did you talk to this guy?
I talked to him, and I think I mentioned in the article. I hope I did. I hope it's explicitly mentioned. I talked to him via Twitter DM, via X DMs. I didn't speak to him on the phone or anything like that. He puts out different charts and different, metrics and data points for various things throughout the college basketball season. And this one I didn't know existed until a few weeks ago. It's called Resume Rank, right? So he's ranking teams not based on the efficiency, not based on the margin of victory, not based on what they looked like or whatever, but he's simply ranking them on their wins and losses and grading those out. And when he put this out, this has been out, I think, for 2 seasons now, this metric, but he put a chart out saying, hey, this is where teams stand currently about, 2 weeks ago, and Memphis was 14th in that chart. I think 13th or 14th, which is much higher than, even in the AP poll. The Tigers have never been 13th, in the AP poll, I don't think, this season.
Right.
So I looked at that, and he DM'd it to me and said, hey, this might be something you want to look at or look into. So we had shot some messages back and forth, and something he said throughout the course of those messages on Monday was this, and I'll read the quote from the article. He says, based on what Memphis has done against their schedule, they deserve to be more in the 5-6 seed range right now, not in the 7-8 range that they're currently pegged in current bracketology, right? So he's saying that same thing that Jerry Palm apparently said on y'all's show about this morning, is that if anything, it should be 5-6 or maybe 6 seed right now with mobility to move upward. Whereas some bracketologists looking at it like, hey, maybe 6 trending downward or 7 or 8, which I think 8 is just ridiculous. Looking at what Memphis has done with its with the chances it's had.
Doesn't that tell you if they are a 5-6, or make that if they are a 7 or an 8. Let's assume there's no more losses.
Sure.
When Selection Sunday happens, and they're, especially an 8, doesn't that tell you that the committee has leaned more toward metrics?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the only explanation.
And if they're 5 or 6, they lean more toward resume.
Toward resume, yeah. But I think what's going to happen is it's going to be somewhere in the middle, right? They're going to split the difference and say, okay, Memphis is a 6 seed or a 7, depending on how this next 4-game stretch goes here and how the AAC tournament goes. If they win out, you can't imagine they'll drop to 8's just.
Yeah.
No way.
My mind will be blown.
No.
There's no way.
They shouldn't even
I don't
be a
care what
7.
anybody else does.
They shouldn't even be a 7.
If they win out, they'll be a 6, I think.
When he's doing, I don't know how much you could talk, but like, so how does he grading like their wins? Like how does he determine how good a win is or how that type of stuff?
Yeah, he has an algorithm called win quality and loss quality. And I don't know the exact formula per se, but he has one certainly. And it's looking at that exclusively, right? So it's not looking at efficiency. It's not looking at margin of victory. None of that. Like none of the stuff that the net or Ken Pom or Bartorvik, like all that is separate. He has something for that too, but in this particular
because he has to have something that ranks teams, because otherwise what tells you what is a good win or what is a bad win? So that's why I wonder how he's ranking those teams to tell you how good a win is.
Yeah,
Again, I don't know. These guys are way too and again, it's a computer. In the end, they're just putting data in a computer. So I just wonder what data he's using to determine what the good teams are that you've beaten and what the bad teams are that that's
probably common sense. Common sense. Memphis has beaten Michigan State. They've beaten Clemson. They've beaten Missouri.
No, but Eli's question, I do wonder what the formula is. Yeah, no.
I'm kidding. There has to be something to rank the teams to be determining what a good team is, to determine how good a win is. Like, does he think the win, or what's he think the best win is? Does he think, how much does home and road play into it versus a neutral court? Because, I mean, the Tigers have none of their big wins on, Clemson's on the road. That's the one on the road. I don't know what other people have as far as road
Michigan
versus
State and UConn are neutral. Yeah.
How does he grade that? How does how does home, neutral, road determine in his thing of determining how good a win is or how bad a loss is, too, on the other side of that? So
exactly.
There's got to be some way, does he think, where does he have Arkansas State ranked? Like, how bad of a loss is that versus something else?
One thing he probably doesn't have is margin of victory in his formula, because margin of victory is what has really hurt Memphis. And I'm totally against margin of victory being used as part of the formula, but that's what net does, and that's what Ken Pomeroy doesn't do, because they're very similar other than that margin of victory aspect of it. Okay. Penny last week on Thursday, I think, when there was media availability, Thursday or Friday, before the Florida Atlantic game,
yep. Mm-hmm.
He kind of went off on the whole thing.
A little bit.
I mean, he's been pretty quiet, kept it close to the vest, but kind of went off. And then he made the statement like, we could be 26-0 and probably penciled in as a 6 seed. So
which is
he kind of let it out.
It's hyperbolic, obviously.
Right, but he kind of let it out.
No, he did. He did. He said, I'm looking at the quote from the same article we just discussed, and he said, when you have the amount of quad 1 and quad 2 wins that we have, that's supposed to mean something. But I think margin of victory is coming into play in a lot of this, so I really don't know. A win just isn't a win anymore. And then he goes on to say, can we just get back to wins and losses and who you've played?
Yes.
So he's tired of the advanced analytics and the computers and the math and
I can understand why.
Yeah.
I said this earlier in this show that it just seems like they are penalized more for the loss than they are rewarded for the big win.
But they haven't had a chance to get a big win.
Well, no, they beat Michigan State.
Oh, okay.
At the time, Connecticut was.
Okay,
yeah,
I got you.
See, you know what? The early part of the season counts too. And I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in general, the whole damn resume counts.
No, as it should.
And it seems like all that matters with Memphis is this American Conference.
Yeah.
It's not about anything that happened before.
And this is just my assumption or the way I see it. The sample size is larger, right? Obviously, for the American Conference. You got 18 games there versus 13 games in the non-con.
Right.
So the sample size of your quote-unquote big wins, which they are very, very big wins. Michigan State, Mizzou, UConn, Clemson, Ole Miss. Those are fantastic.
Yeah.
That's among the best in the country. But then you've got this large slate of teams you've beaten, but you've barely beaten. You've struggled. You've turned the ball over 20 times. Like, that stuff is going to kill your efficiency numbers. It's going to kill it.
I understand. But it's not like they play 40 games in the conference and 10. It's 18-13. It's not a huge disparity. It's 5 more
But it
games.
still leans. Does that make sense?
I know. All right, so they did what I thought they would do. I say it every time. Every time they face some adversity, a loss they shouldn't have, they bounce back strong. And it was a slow start, but they bounced back strong. We don't need to talk about Florida Atlantic, but we do need to talk about these 2 games coming up. Rice, in fact, there'll be 3 games, Rice, UAB, and UTSA before we talk to you next. So there's a lot of action coming up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a little concerned about tonight. Rice only lost to them by 3 earlier this year, and Rice nearly beat UAB the other day. They're playing better. I talked to their coach, Rob Lanier, yesterday, who, by the way, sounds exactly like Dr. Ed Scott, the New York thing and all. But I'm worried because this is a game that is a tweener. You had the Florida Atlantic. You bounced back from that. You got the UAB game coming up on Sunday, which is going to be huge at Bartow Arena. And they have this little tweener game in between. Any concerns at all that there could be a letdown?
I don't think so. And the reason I don't is because the reason that game was so tight at Rice was what, turnovers, right? I think Memphis turned it over, I want to say 16 times. Rice scored 23 points off those turnovers. Memphis hasn't had more than 13 turnovers in the 5 games since. So they've cleaned that issue up. And you look at the past 8 for Memphis. It's a small sample size, but they've had, I'm looking at it right now, 152 assists, 93 turnovers.
Yeah, they've been much better with the ball.
Much better.
But you remember in that game, they couldn't miss shots.
That was a factor.
Haggerty, Carter, P.J. Carter off the bench, Hunter, they couldn't miss shots. Danger was held in check, but they didn't have to go to Danger that much because they were making so many shots.
Exactly.
But that's what Lanier was saying. He was going, we need these guys to miss some shots. They lost by 1 possession with Memphis going
berserk. I think they shot 50-something% from the three. From the three, not from the field.
I'm just saying... Yeah. Not the coaching staff and all, but the players, the individual players. Are you looking ahead to UAB? Is Danger already looking ahead
to Yaxel Lindenborg?
Exactly.
Yeah.
These things come into play in college a lot more than they do in professional sports because these are young, impressionable men and women that play. And I could see.
And Rice rebounds the ball really well as well. On the offensive end especially. That's one of their strong suits. Yeah.
Yeah, they rebound. They don't cause turnovers.
No, they
which
don't
is
at
weird.
all, yeah.
Which is weird that's what the issue was the Tigers had against them was because Rice doesn't.
Well, doesn't that show you that it's all kind of internal?
Exactly.
And it's,
Yes, that's what concerns me. I've been talking about it ad nauseum. The mental
they're
aspect
beating themselves.
Right. They play to the level of the competition as well. I don't know. Probably won't be a big crowd. Want a big crowd on Sunday, and this is Rice midweek church night.
It might be a tough crowd.
What do you think for the rest of these games? Again, we'll talk next Thursday before the South Florida game. But what do you think for the remaining 4 before conference tournament play?
I think the one you have the least concern about, funny enough, is the toughest one, which is UAB on the road. Because that environment, the whole Danger versus Yaxel Lindenborg angle, these teams have some history. Like, that's the one the Tigers are going to get emotionally and mentally ready for. Like, I have no worries there. Then, it's going to be raucous there. They're going to be energized, all of that stuff on the road. Like, I think you're right. Like, I think this is the one where you might be concerned, limited crowd on hand. It's Rice. But then again, you had that scare in Houston, not even a month ago. So you would hope that the Tigers come out and are ready and remember that feeling that they had in Tudor Fieldhouse in early February.
Last thing for you, and we'll talk in the coming weeks about the roster for next year because, again, it's going to be an overhaul. Yep. He's going to lose a lot of players. But the one guy that is of interest the most is P.J. Haggerty. Will Haggerty come back to college? Will he try to go to the NBA? Will he be able to come back to Memphis? I've heard from some pretty reliable sources about some schools in the SEC that are putting together a boatload of money.
Wow.
To try
already,
to
huh? Yeah.
Already.
Yeah. Wow.
So have you guys even talked? Because I know Haggerty doesn't talk a lot.
No, he doesn't talk a lot.
About his future.
No.
Not yet.
No. So we haven't really, broached that subject with him or even asked the question indirectly to him. Just because, like you said, even about the stuff that's happening now, he doesn't say too much.
Timing's probably not right, but that's just something that's very curious for all of us because you got a good foundation. If you're able to bring him back, he decides to stay in college, and you can retain
along
him.
with P.J. Carter and Brock Okogie and Jared Harris. If you can bring some of those guys back, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, a couple of those guys hardly play, so I don't know how great it'll be, but
right.
I hear
but
what
those
you're
two,
saying.
the two PJs.
I hear what you're
Let's start there.
Parth, thank you as always. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks,
He's Parth Upadhyay. He covers Memphis Tigers basketball for the Daily Memphian, and he's on with us every Wednesday during the Tiger basketball season. And again, he'll have you covered starting tonight in this big 4-game streak over the next 9 days. It's going to be a very busy time for Memphis Tigers basketball, and then of course throughout the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament. He's Parth Upadhyay. We'll take a quick break, come back and wrap things up. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
John Burgess. John, what's going on in the rendezvous? Well, there's some things about the rendezvous I want to talk about. For example, we make it really easy to park. We have valet parking right at Monroe Street in our alley. We also want to make it easy for people to get to doors. You can now park in our alley right at our front door and put your flashers on. People also forget that we take reservations for seats and more. And we have a wonderful party room upstairs that can accommodate people for rehearsal dinners, birthday parties, reunions, graduations. Our rooms seat between 25 and 275 people. And everything at the rendezvous can be packed to go. But we also do catering. See our menu online, and we can even deliver for groups of 15 or more. So if you have any questions, always feel free to call us at the rendezvous because we answer our phone ourselves. You'll never hear. Please listen carefully for our menu restraint. Press 1 for reservations, press 2 for hours, press 3 for catering, or if you know your party's 9-digit extension number and the first 3 letters of the mother's maiden name, dial it back. Come see us at the rendezvous. Since 1948, the rendezvous.
Bobby J says get to the Gossett Kia President's Day sales event today at Gossett Kia on the Pike. You'll find 2025 Kia K4 LXS for less than $5 a day at $159 a month with class-leading torque and fuel efficiency. 2025 Kia Telluride S with more power, larger cargo bed area, and more ground clearance than Nissan Pathfinder $398 a month. 2025 Sportage EX, better overall consumer rating than Toyota RAV4, longer warranty for Evans.com at $279 a month. All with $49.99 due at signing. Plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Call Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike. Online, KiaCovingtonPike.com. If you want it, we got it and Gossett Motor Cars.
$20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage. K4, SEO 233118, MSRP 25320. Telluride SG59604, MSRP 41060. Sportage S719 2005, MSRP 30660. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through KFA. Excludes tax filing license 895 PF with approved credit. Dealer stock only. CD for complete details. Offer valid through 3/2/2025.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five-Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
I know it's not spring yet, but it's close, and right now, it's the perfect time to start thinking and planning for your backyard entertainment. It just so happens Family Leisure is thinking that way too, with their preseason pool and patio sale. Get 2024 pricing on all above-ground pools and patio furniture. Also, secure your spot for pool installation. That way, you can go ahead and start making plans. Lots of new inventory is en route, so in-stock patio furniture is up to 70% off. You want a play gym, a trampoline, how about an outdoor kitchen to go along with that new pool? They're all on sale too. You can get spas up to $3,000 off and save even more by mentioning this ad. You do that, you'll get a $250 gift card with a pool, spa, or patio furniture purchase. Winter won't last forever. Spring will be here soon, so get ready with the preseason pool and patio sale at Family Leisure, Whit Road off I-40, where family and fun all come together. Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56.
Couple of notes from women's basketball. Joy Lee McNellis, the longtime Southern Miss women's basketball coach, former Memphis women's basketball coach, just a delight to be around, who's battled cancer several different times, will retire after this season. That will end 21 years at Southern Miss. Want to wish her well. Just a sweetheart of a woman. And Diana Taurasi announcing her retirement after 20 seasons in the WNBA, one of the most storied careers in women's basketball. I kind of half jokingly tweeted out yesterday, but she'll probably still be a part of the Olympic Games in Los Angeles. She's been on like 30 Olympic teams. She's over 40 now, I believe, but great career. Wrapped it up, or will wrap it up at the end of the season. Wait.
It's done.
Is it next season she's talking about?
She's done.
She's done. Okay. So calling it quits.
Elwood Shack, when it comes to great food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, any meal, anytime, Elwood Shack has you taken care of with their 2 locations to serve you. Breakfast being served right now. They've served breakfast on a daily basis at both locations, 7 a.m. until 10:30. On Sundays, they're open up at 8. And on Saturday and Sunday, they're doing an additional brunch menu as well from 9 until 3. At the Park Avenue location, they got a full coffee bar. So if you love your coffee or your cappuccinos or frappuccinos or whatever, well, they can take care of that with a full coffee bar. That is at the Park Avenue location. But whether it be their barbecue, or maybe the fish tacos, or one of their great burgers, or pizzas, or any of their great deli sandwiches, they do all of their meats in-house. It is so good. Lots of local products as well that they use, from their bread to their coffee beans to their desserts. Lots of local stuff that they have at Elwood's Shack. And again, the toughest part about going to Elwood's Shack is just figuring out what it is you want, because there's so many things on the menu and absolutely all delicious. 4523 Summer Avenue, that's the original location. That's in the Lowe's parking lot at Summer and Perkins. 4040 Park Avenue, that's the newer location, the bigger location there on Park Avenue. That's where you'll find the full coffee bar, and you're going to find great food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner at both locations of Elwood's Shack.
Penn State edge Abdul Carter mentioned this yesterday, that he will not participate, at least working out, for the NFL personnel at the Combine because of his shoulder. But he has been cleared to resume training, and that means he'll be ready to rock and roll on March 28th. That's pro day for Penn State. He said, quote, "I feel like I'm the best player in the country, and the best player should be drafted number 1. There's a good opportunity that it will happen if the Titans keep that pick. But the Titans are exploring the possibility of possibly dealing that pick." And then finally, this is crazy. Notable 2025 Major League Baseball salaries, including Dustin Pedroia. Yeah, he's out of baseball. $2.5 million. Manny Ramirez is making $2 million this year. Ryan Braun's making $1.8. Bobby Bonilla, of course, making $1.59. Matt Holliday's making $1.5. Shohei Ohtani, he's making $2 million. With the deferral, he's making $2 million. He's right. Chris Davis, I don't think he's in baseball anymore. Maybe he is. I don't believe he is, though. $9.16 million. Again, that is a funny list right there. That's going to do it for us today. I want to thank our guests, Tim Cramsey, Jerry Palm, and Parthu Pajite. DeMichael Cole will join us tomorrow. He will join us along with Joe DeLeon. We'll talk Combine with Joe and NFL Draft, and Kerry Miller on Major League Baseball, spring training going on, and college basketball, as we do each and every week. It all gets started tomorrow, bright and early at 7 a.m. Waldo and Friends on Sports 56 is coming up next, so stay tuned for that. For Eli Savoy and Elijah Seegers, I'm Greg Gaston. Enjoy the rest of your hump day, everyone.